Welcome, welcome, welcome to the session. Give me just a few moments to get myself situated. I'm back. Let me get in here. Hey, soul music. Good. Hey, you came right on in. Awesome. Let's see. Bear with me a moment. I need to pin a message. Hey, Palak. Hey, Michelle. Bye, Michelle. If that's what you want to do. Again, how is somebody gonna scam you, clown, if ain't nobody asking for no money? You don't even know what I'm about. And you in here with that foolishness already. You rude self, you got to go. Oh, there she go. I mean, there's my yep, I can't even get to it. He got you before I could. All right. Bear with me 1 second, y'all. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so I can't type and do this either. Oh Lord. Oh, here we go. All right. Let me pin this. All right, all right, all right. Let's go, let's go. Hey, hey, hey. Let me see what I missed here. They are soul music, and I understand. And I'm gonna try my best to ignore them since I do have a mod in here. I had made myself a mod off my other account if I have to, but Antoine is right here on it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. If anybody else is available to be a moderator, please let me know, and I'm happy to add you. Hey, Divine Direction. I'm so glad. I'm glad. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope you enjoy your time here. Y'all, one of the things that I want to talk about before we get started, and again, I said this is a wild card session. So it's our channel. We can talk about pretty much anything unless it's something that YouTube gonna kick us off for. But before we do, I was gonna make a video about this, and I may actually still do the pre-recorded upload. But I want to talk a little bit about what's happened here over the past couple of days. I know it seemed a little crazy. It was more than a little crazy, but again, I'm used to following um, the guidance of my guides. So I just got a wild hair the other 2 days ago. I woke up that morning and decided I wanted to go online. I was up like 5 or 6 o'clock, and then I noticed that the energy for the live stream, the kind of people I want to draw into the live stream, were not exactly meshing with what I was looking for at 6 in the morning. It was a little rough still, some of that late night crew, but I jumped on at around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and wound up reading until I live streamed for 14 hours that day. And it did get us to the 1,000. So thank you. We're now at like 1,280, I think, subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, I am. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really, really do. I appreciate all of you that helped me get to that point. And that's why I said this week for me is about service to the community. I will not be able to continue doing the level of readings that I've been doing for free for the past few days. I will continue through the end of this week. And then after that, I'll be doing sessions like next week that are for donation or arranging private readings, that sort of thing. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. But the thing that I really got out of it, more than 1,000 subscribers, and that was amazing. And again, thank you, was a confirmation for me. I was able to see myself and hear myself in a way that I had not been able to before. And this, I'm saying this for every single person that is in the sound of my earshot. If you have had any kind of self-doubt that you've been struggling with, imposter syndrome, lack of confidence, all that stuff that we talk about, you've been itching to do something, you know spirit is nudging and poking and damn near kicking you out the door to do, and you still can't manage to do it, something. We're not doing readings right now, Raghav. I think you were here earlier. I might be able to get, is Zaza, is that Cannabis, Sumitra? Thank you, Hermione. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk about that in just a minute. Let me say this, okay? Because I think it's important. No, you're fine, and we'll get to you if we can. So, Mitra, I'm going to definitely speak on that, and I do have a recorded message that I think it would help you a lot to listen to what I have to say about that in detail. But I am going to talk about it here. Hey, unique goddess, thank you for joining us. Thank you, thank you. Okay, yes, sir. But as far as that imposter syndrome, lack of confidence thing, until you can hear yourself or see yourself in a positive light enough to do what spirit is nudging you to do, if you can't see that, look through the eyes of another. And I don't mean somebody that's on your butt giving you hell. Look at your biggest fan, somebody that you know cares you. They've been telling you the whole time, you just can't hear them. But we can never see ourselves or hear ourselves as other people hear them. But I've had two fans, one of them is my boyfriend, one is a spiritual brother, been telling me the whole time that I was ready to read for others. And again, I've been doing readings for almost 2 years on the channel, but they were always pre-recorded readings, kind of general, uploading them that way. I had never gone live before last week. And then on my birthday, I just had to go live. Spirit said, enough is enough is enough. But think about where I could be right now if I had done that 6 months ago. I've been in my own way because I was stuck in my head. And again, like you said, everything is a great start, and I'm happy I finally did it. But I'm telling you, anybody that's know they got a calling and you still, I'm gonna, and I can't, and I ain't quite ready, you ain't got to have all the answers. You don't have to be a virtual pianist to actually go out there and sing your song. Your music is the delight for the universe. Wherever you're at, just start. That's what I got from the last 2 days. You're readier than you know. And again, I've been reading for people for 2 years, friends, family, friends of friends, stuff like that. And every single reading that I have ever done, they told me that it was so resonant. My daughter, who can't stand my spiritual journey, we've been estranged for 3 or 4 years. She got her little butt in spiritual trouble and asked me to do some readings for her, and came back later and told me, Mama, you might want to dial that back a little bit because it resonated so much it was scary. And like I say, I know she won't gas me up because she don't respect my spiritual journey at all, at all. And I had not had any association with that girl in like 3 or 4 years, so I didn't know nothing about her personal business. But when I sat down and asked Spirit to show me what I needed to see and did that reading, it was on the money. So as long as you walking with Spirit, stop living in, stop looking at yourself through the lens of the person that you used to be. Okay? You're not that person anymore. I promise you, you have progressed way past what you think. You're way readier than you know. You don't have to know everything. All you got to know is a little bit more than the next. But it's our obligation to start sharing the information and start helping. We're walking each other home. You got to start walking. Grab the hand of somebody that's a step or two behind you. You ain't got to know everything, just a little bit more than the next person. So, that, like I say, that was my challenge. I mean, that's my challenge to you. Oh, you ain't missed. Well, I was reading tarot earlier, and I'm just getting started here, Tasha. You right on time, and I'm glad you had a safe flight and made it back. If you jet lagged or whatever, you can kind of take it easy if you need to. You're gonna get a job if you continue to stay on it. I'm looking for a job too. Have I been as diligent as I need to be? Probably not. Partially because I know I'm supposed to be doing this. I just had to get confident enough to get out there and do what I need to do. That's why I said this is my skin in the game, service to the collective, service to Enki, all of that. This week, moving forward, I got this is the gig for me. What y'all see here, the tarot reader, the spiritual counseling, the Reiki. Eventually, I'm going to be doing some Reiki infused candles that I purify the suns, the stones, crystals in the full moon and set intentions for. I do Reiki infused jewelry. I have some natural skincare products I'm gonna be putting out. I got to get the website up, all of that good stuff. That's the gig for me. So to answer your question, somebody's standing up behind me. Who's standing behind me? I'm not sure who you talking about standing up behind me. There's a picture behind me. Ain't nobody behind me. You seeing some stuff I don't see, but that's okay. Are you saying it's a spirit standing behind me? Might be Archangel Michael. If you are on some evil time and you having some issues, if you seeing somebody standing behind me, it's most likely Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael. It might be Yeshua. It might be any number of folks because I have a whole spirit team with me. I do. Okay, so what? There's somebody behind me, like I just told you. I got about 7 or 8 folks that I call in all the time. Oh goodness. You say you can't take a rope. I woke you up and everything I said came true. He trying to be nice to get you back. Mm-hmm. Your energy is delicious, my love. And the more you heal in the sand, the more delicious it's gonna get to them. And they don't even know they're energy vampires, but that's why they're back on the trail. They can't help it. They're being guided. Some of them have allowed their avatar to be controlled by demons, like that other person that called themselves trolling me. They are literally puppets of unseen, non-corporeal beings and have no idea. They're in our lives, they're in our government, they're in our homes, they're in our offices, they're everywhere. We war not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, even in our own homes and our own beds sometimes. Honestly, with astrology, you don't have to buy into astrology. If you, the more you read into it, though, it really is something to it. And truthfully, that is a system that Lord Enki kind of put into play. I'm not super into astrology either. I'm into spirituality. But you'll get a job when you apply for one and apply yourself and set the intention for it. It's hard for everybody everywhere. I have not talked to nobody recently that's got all of the money that they want and all of everything. We are living in some very, very tough times. The whole economic system is dealing with some weird stuff. We got all kinds of stuff happening. So I can't predict when nobody gonna get a job. I can't predict when I'm gonna get my own job. All I know is I can keep applying and I can start looking for other ways to get out there just in case the job don't come through. I can get my hustle on. If I have to get out there and sell dinners or walk, take in laundry or like I said, do tarot readings, or wherever your skill set is, Rushan, that's what you can go and do. Get a job. There is no job security left nowhere on this planet. I don't know why y'all don't understand that. It used to be a time they told us we needed to go to college and get the thing and do the thing. And I'm not telling nobody don't pursue their degrees. But if you look at how many people are in hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt with a degree tucked under their arm and still can't get a damn job, you stop leaning on the job so much and learn how to carve out your own income, especially since we're in this whole digital space we're in. You know how many millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars are made right here on YouTube every year. Go check out Mr. Beast. Type in the search bar in YouTube top 10 YouTube earners of any given year starting in 2020. Them cats are making 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year, and Mr. Beast is making over $1 billion a year, and he started right here as a regular nerdy behind nobody sitting in his house doing stupid shit. We can find a way, because somebody out there is going to like it. All of these trolls that show up, do you not understand? Let me let you in on a little secret. And again, I'm not knocking this lady in this hustle. Samitra, we're going to discuss the cannabis situation. The OJ thing, no, I don't think OJ did it. I think OJ know who did do it and had to shut his mouth or be, and he still wound up talking too much and acting a fool and paid the price for it. But I'm not going to get caught up in the OJ thing, because honestly, OJ did stupid stuff and I ain't got to worry about it. He's selling chocolate bars now, but long before he got to the chocolate bars, he was making $400-500 million a year off of YouTube, merch stores, and everything else. Crowdfunding is a huge thing. That's one of the reasons I'm not going to be bigger than, you going to manifest that. I don't need to be bigger than Mr. Beast, but the vision that Spirit has shown me to do, I do need a soul tribe for. We do need some serious crowdfunding, and we will impact people, and it will involve hundreds of millions of dollars, not in my personal wallet, but to help. We are our brother's keeper, and we got Spirit and put on me to do something pretty damn amazing out there in the world that eventually will cover several continents and help thousands and thousands of people. And I hope they'll still be talking about it 100 years after I close my eyes off this planet, and the people that helped set it up with me. For real. If Mr. Beast can sell chocolate, we can do what we need to do. Exactly. No. Do what you got to do. If you have to collect from the government for a moment, do so. I'm not collecting anything. I'm grateful. I have a beautiful friend. We have an exchange. I exchange my domestic services, as it were, for room and board. I cook and shop, do the grocery shopping, and I cook and all of that in exchange. But we've all got to find, the harder things get, we're going to have to find unconventional ways to make an income, because the conventional systems are crumbling. That's why it's so hard. Bye, Touche. Honestly, somebody got to run this stuff, but by the same turn, my I don't mess around in the politics thing, so I'm not going there. You can always make a wish, but I don't know if I can help you. That's between you and your spirit guides. Now back to the cannabis thing. My official take on that: for spiritual use only. Some things were shown to me though. Hey Michelle, I started using it back. I started meditating in 2016, around September or October of 2016. And in the spring of 2017, my guides did lead me back to use it. I had tried it years before. I was introduced to it by some folks that were using it recreationally. They were smoking street weed. It was loud, but it wasn't good weed. It was a lot of issues, and the way they were dealing with it, I just didn't like it. I had a horrible experience, and I had left it alone for over a decade. And when I went back to it, it was for spiritual reasons, because my guides told me to use it in cooperation with meditation. But I started using very small amounts, and I allowed the plant to teach me. And one of the things that I've discovered from looking around at people and all that, most people use way overuse it, and they miss the entire point of the plant. It does have some fabulous medicinal uses and spiritual uses, but it is grossly overused by most people. They just want to get super blasted off into whatever and zonked out, and they get so high that they don't really get the spiritual benefit of the ride they took. So when I tell people if they're going to use it, weed is not physically addictive, just in case you didn't know, Sumitra. If you've got addicted to it, that's a psychological thing. Weed is not physically addictive. I stopped smoking cold turkey about 7, 8 months ago, and I'm just fine. I don't. I mean, I might eventually go get some more because I enjoy meditating with it, but it's never. And even when I use it, I've been using it for since 2017 now. Every 2 or 3 months, I'll go off of it for a month or two just to make sure I keep my tolerance low. But that's what I'm saying. You have to know how to use it, or it's not effective. He said the vibrant cannabis leaf fluttered gently in the breeze, its jagged edges. Yeah. You too, Nadine. Absolutely. You have a great day as well if you have to scoot out. Now, let's see. A lot you don't find anything, and you may not. Again, if you're around people that are not spiritually focused, you won't find nothing good. Most people do just abuse it. I just said that. But I'm talking about using it for spiritual purposes. It is a teacher. It does unlock, it makes it easier to unlock through the veil. It makes it easier for your mind to travel if you will allow it to. But again, you're not supposed to get so blasted you don't remember the lessons that you receive when you're out there. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. He said Twan is blazing. Dragon Gaming, you about to get up out of here. We don't do that. Sanam or sorry, I hope you're having a good day as well. Lotto, I don't know what you're disagreeing about, but okay, you got a right to disagree. And yeah, could y'all please do me a favor and get the likes up in here? We got 48 people in the room, 32 likes. I would appreciate it. I'm not WhatsApping no, but oh, you said what's up from Malaysia? Yeah, don't it now. Look, if you're on your spiritual journey in Malaysia, please don't blaze. That two grams will get you 2 years over there. If you in Japan or Malaysia or some of those places where it's for real illegal, I'm not telling nobody to do that as part of the spiritual journey or no other journey. I was talking about the folks that have access to it, that can access it without fear of incarceration. Just so we're clear on that. You said get back to the for real. Yeah, I ain't even see them. So y'all been doing so good. You got rid of them before I even saw what they said. Oh, great, son. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you are. Now, you said, can I read? Wait, oh, that's an old message. My bad. This live, Megna, this is kind of a spiritual free, like a wild card session. If you want, we can talk about pretty much some of anything. I would honestly not like this to devolve into a tarot session. I did promise a couple folks that if they came in from this morning session, I might pull cards for them if I did not get to them this morning. But honestly, that I'm only going to even keep that option open for like the next 10, 20 minutes or so. Those who actually are hearing me now, if they come in and scoot it in right now, but I can't leave because then I'm not going to let them divide that whole session because I can't be on here all night. I am going to go live again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So we're going to be here for a few hours, chopping it up, doing whatever we got to do, a couple hours, whatever. And then I'm going to shut it down. I'm not going to read cards all night. You're a Japanese alien? Okay. Cool. Welcome. I mean, we all aliens from somewhere because we are all Anunnaki hybrids at the end of the day. That's what the ancient text shows. So whether you living under Japan's flag, the U.S. flag, some African country flag, USS, whatever, I don't care. as far as I'm concerned, everybody's my brothers and sisters. We're not reading anything right now on the channel lately. I've been reading the compendium of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And before that, I did the Lost Book of Enki, the Enuma Elish and Atrahasis. And then we're going to be moving on to Zechariah Sitchin's 12th Planet, which is the first book in the Earth Chronicles series. There's about 7 or 8 of his books in the Earth Chronicles series, and we're going to start going through those when I get through the compendium of the Emerald Tablets. One of the things, absolutely, Rashawn, you got this, bro. Study, study, study. But you know you got this. You know you do. If you didn't, superintendent of police, so you already been in the police. You ain't new to this. You know how to study, and you're up for the promotion. You got this, bruh. Congratulations. Sanam, you're Turkish. Awesome, awesome. You have your psychology from Africa. You found most people. Look, I know there's a lot of racial tension around the planet. There is. I choose to kind of not buy into a lot of that just because you're welcome, my love. Um, but at the end of the day, I have to believe that most people on the planet do want good and are good. When I make that statement about us being in a dumpster fire with the walking dead amongst us, there is that component. You can't deny it. We see it, we're living it. But the vast majority of people are not evil, they're just blind or asleep. There's a mass awakening that's happening right now. That's why it's important for all of us to get our stuff together and ascend and awaken and get our energy up and our spiritual knowledge together and all of those things that we're doing, because we're being called into service. It's literally, we're getting booted and suited right now so that when this mass awakening really gets underway, we can help those people. I don't have a lot of experience, 88 Pearls, with seeing doors outlined in gold with my third eye. The only time, and again, it wasn't really with my third eye, the only gold door that I've really seen, this is a kind of cool story. I'll try to make it quick. I had, okay, whatever. I had a recurring dream as a child, and I kind of sort of not a young adult. I guess from young adulthood into my middle adulthood, I've had the dream like 5 or 6 times that I'm aware of, and it always started out with me coming into like a front central area that represented. It was supposed to be like the kitchen, living room area of the house, but it was huge. It would be like a huge mezzanine in a stadium or something, or sometimes it would be like raggedy tore up floors, like the renovation thing in Home Alone when they went to New York and all that, where you could literally had to kind of step over places to keep from falling through. All kind the front part of it will always look different, but when I went down the hallway, it turned into, instead of being a home, it looked like the hallway of a school or a hospital or something. On the left hand side, there were doors leading down to a big exit door, with the kind with the heavy metal door like they have in schools or hospitals, with the clear glass with the crisscross wire through it. That door would always be at the end of the hallway with the exit sign, and then off to the right, another door with it just had a doorknob and it was unlocked. The first 3 or 4 times that I had that dream, the first time I had it, like I said, the kitchen, the front part of the house area is always different. And in a house, in a dream, when you dream about a house, that is your personal life, what's going on in your life, the whole bit, all of that. Sometimes it was wide open to the public and big and large and scary. Sometimes the floor was toe up in it, meaning my foundation was jacked. Psychologically, I'm understanding all that stuff. On the left hand side, each and every one of those doors was the room of one of my family members. And over time, most of those people were deceased. When I first started having a dream, most of them were alive. But over time, most of them were deceased. And the order kind of always stayed the same. It was like my grandmother's room, and I usually didn't stop there too much. Then my parents each had their individual room. Then it was interesting. Two of my sisters showed up. My foster sister, who I'd had issues with, never really did. But then the one of my sisters that always came last, she's a hoarder. She had two rooms, one room for her and one room for her trash hoard. In the dream, everything was off to the side. Those rooms always stayed the same. I'd go down the line and visit with them and all of that. When I got to the right side, I don't know why fear took me over so much. Every time I had that dream, the first time I had the dream, just touching the doorknob put so much fear in me. I woke up in a cold sweat. Never did get to open it. The next time I touched the doorknob and turned the handle and kind of opened the door, but I couldn't peer in. The third time I had the dream, I was able to open the door wide, stand at the top landing, but I couldn't go any further. Fear would always wake me up. The fourth time I had it or whatever, I made it halfway down the steps. The last time I finally got to the bottom of the steps in that dream, it was like going down into a basement. And when I looked out at the bottom of the steps, straight ahead, there was a dark doorway. Off to the right, there was a doorway that looked like it had light or gold around it. I don't know if it was actual gold or if it was from the light, but there was nothing else in that basement but those two doors. Now, here's where it gets weird. Years later, I ran into some information on YouTube about quantum jumping, and it's an older dude that first started talking about quantum jumping. I did a guided meditation. He hit one of his guided meditations to do your quantum jumping, and the first quantum jumping video that I listened to, it was in 2018. I laid down, closed my eyes to do that meditation, and the doorway that he described going into that meditation, he took me down the stairs, da 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 da, into that doorway. And I just thought that was really, really kind of cool. Okay, Soul Music. Hope you'll come in and join us later on in the week. Thank you so much for joining us. Love and light. And of course, you can check out the session later. I will make these public as they upload, and you can check them later. Because spirituality is kind of vast, Magna, but it's actually not as vast as people think if they were to understand what they're actually doing. And for me, I'm kind of in a separate space because I was raised with Christianity, but I started asking questions, and I'm a little bit neurodivergent, so I noticed patterns and stuff, and I saw what happened over the past 100 years. I'm old enough, and I had old parents too, so I was more interested in older history than I guess a lot of folks, even though I didn't think I was interested, but the things that they made me learn, I paid attention to. So I noticed some patterns and things that's been happening over the past 150 years. And then once I left Christianity, well, actually, I left one sect of Christianity, then I migrated to another sect of Christianity. And then eventually I just said, screw religion, I want to get spiritual. And then things kind of started unfolding. But in this recent path of learning, I came to find out that Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are pretty much all the same religion under the same God. They call them something different, but it all ties back to Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah. Those names all tie back to the Anunnaki being known as Enlil. He's been known as a whole bunch of other stuff too, but if you trace his lineage, if you will, or the iterations of his worship on this planet all the way back, he traces back to Enlil. His religions are very violent, very misogynistic, very all of that. The other Anunnaki brother that was here, Enki, Lord Shiva, yeah, is Enki in the Hindu pantheon, but those religions, Buddhism, Taoism, Jainism, Hinduism, those are more Enkiite philosophies than Yahwism. And truthfully, even though I can't agree with all of the tenets of Hinduism, even with, I had said it as far as Buddhism, but even with Hinduism, if the whole planet was Hindu, we wouldn't have no wars. We really wouldn't. And truthfully, we probably wouldn't have very much poverty either. We have the Hindu countries and the Buddhist countries have poverty now because of the influence of the Enlilite factions on the rest of the world. Saraswati, yeah. Hey, Jessica, good to have you back, dear. Good to have you back. And at least one of the things I did notice um, with the Hindu religion, when you look at the faith and you start looking at the ancient texts, they talk about the Vimanas. They acknowledged that we had that the Anunnaki were here and flying amongst us in the Bible. They come and hiding behind the smoke and the flashbang and the this and the that. In the Hindu pantheon, they flew around in spacecraft and the Hindus knew it. They talk about the Vimanas openly. You said there's a temple in India named Somnath from 600. That temple indicates the direction of Antarctica states. There's no land between the temple. Probably there. And listen, here's the thing, Magna. In the Lost Book of Enki, they talk about a fourth region on the planet where humans were not allowed to go. It is the home of the Anunnaki. And once they stop walking amongst us openly or being served as gods, as Yahweh, Enlil insisted that we were never to see their faces and we were never to know that they're not gods. That's why he told a lie. He had a worship gene installed in us when they said, "Let us make man in our image." They hybridized us with their DNA with a primate they found here, and they created Homo sapiens sapien with their advanced technology because their civilization is literally a million years older than ours. And so when they came here and did all of that stuff, that rocked out for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet. And when they finally got to a point they could no longer go home, hey, Skin by Lauren, good evening. Good evening. Babalola, I am in Atlanta. Yeah. Aztec Mayan, I don't doubt it. And again, it's all kind of roams the same because Thoth ruled in the land of Kim, Egypt, for 36,000 years, and then he went to the Aztec and Mayan lands as Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan under those names. But then after that, there came a time point where they realized they could no longer go back to Nibiru, but they no longer wanted to walk openly among men and do that God charade. They kind of went underground and lend their energy to our consciousness because now that they've put us here, the messenger of the divine sent his messenger Galzu to Lord Enki and said that we are supposed to be here. This is our home. Ain't nobody tell them to go hybridizing the creator of all's creations and making a new, we're something new unto the universe. Homo sapiens sapiens, we were not created by the creator of all. We were fashioned by the Anunnaki. They took the creator of all's initial creation and hybridized it with their DNA and created a new species. We're kind of a big deal in the cosmos. People been coming from all over the cosmos to see us. That's one of the reasons Area 51 always had so many extra. Why do you think there's so many crashed so-called spacecraft and all that other stuff still continuing to this day? It ain't that they can't drive their vehicles. They get captured by greedy governments that don't want people to know that they're here. But people been coming from all over the cosmos to see us for hundreds of thousands of years. It is a lot of new information, David. That's why I keep saying what I'm saying. And again, I had to understand that too. And back in October, when I had my the latest part of my revelation and kind of tied all of this stuff together, then I thought I'd make me one little video and I wouldn't have to talk about it no more. But look at what Yeshua did. He came here, he went into the East for 18 years. Christianity don't know where he was from the age of 12 to the age of 30. But there is a lot of other records that indicate he was in the East. He was in India studying under Babaji. Then he went into the Himalayas to study with the Tibetan monks. Then he went on the tour of the pyramids, which each stop along the way. They start down in Ethiopia. That each temple or pyramid was a mystery school under a particular Anunnaki God or powerful one. Temple of Sekhmet, Temple of Anana, Temple of all of these different ones, concluding with the seventh temple and the seventh initiation at the Grand Pyramid in Giza, which will be where he would receive his light body or the Sabu. That's the little headband with the cobra sticking out to indicate that someone is fully enlightened and has their light body. And in European artwork, we see it as the halo over the head. So he received all of that, and then he came back into Israel to try to tell them. His ministry lasted 3 years of daily walking amongst the Jews, trying to teach them that they were worshiping the wrong God, and they wouldn't hear him. After 3 years of daily contact with the Christ being that they was praying for, that had been prophesied for, that the spaceships done led them to in Bethlehem, all of that, and they still didn't get it, with Yeshua himself teaching them. So I know I couldn't just say it once and be done. This is the hill I'm gonna probably die on. Yeah. Yeah. That's the part that I could never understand. I knew Christianity was lying somewhere, because you're telling me that Yeshua, Hamashiach, like y'all try to call him, the Messiah, the most important man that's ever walked the face of the earth according to this religion, and they lost track of this man for 18 whole years. He was giving them pressure at the age of 12. The priest was annoyed with him, so much so that he got out of town. They sent his little butt out of there because he was already pressure at the age of 12. And then there's no more mention whatsoever in the Bible of him from the age of 12 until the age of 30, when he come rolling back into town. No, well, yeah, kind of, but yeah. But like I say, when you sit there and Christianity don't know where he was, but then everybody in the East know where he was and got some theories about what he was doing, that made me kind of wonder. I know they hiding something. They ain't telling me everything. And I'm inquiring minds like me be wanting to know. Miss Brown. I'm not sure who Miss Brown is, but that oh, I am originally from Florida. I'm currently in Georgia, in Atlanta. They needed the hybrids to mine their gold. That's the part that people don't understand. In the Bible, where it says, "Let us make man in our image," that was them. That was Anunnaki beings in the Eden talking to each other. But if you go back to fact of the matter, what we're gonna do? Let me bear with me a minute. I want some music. It's good for my flow. Hold on. I am going to read a portion. We're not going to get super into it, but I want to read a portion so you can get an idea of what was going on. I'm going to read the first part of the Lost Book, the preface, if you will, and the attestation of Endupsar, so you can kind of get an idea of what was going on for those who are interested in this. And I've read the whole book on the channel, so if this is interesting to you, you can look up the Lost Book of Enki. There is a playlist on my channel for it, so that you can check it out at your leisure. Where's hold on a second. Ay ay ay. Oh, there they go. Okay. There's a channel that I like because her music, she don't have as many commercials and stuff embedded in her music as some of these folks. There we go. Oh Lord. Okay. Y'all ready? Wait a minute. You said Christ incarnate into Yeshua's body at third. Wait a minute. Let me see. I got to read that comment again. So all of the turn the other cheek stuff. No, no. When Yeshua was teaching people 88 pearls, when Yeshua was teaching people to turn the other cheek and all of that, being nonviolent, those are basically Buddhist principles. Forgiveness, unconditional love, that kind of stuff. But we're going to get to the hybrid situation, Daniela, in just a second. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of us that do that. Like I say, I was raised in a very strict Christian household. I just had to do something different when I learn better. Okay. And but here's the thing, Moonshine, but you also have to realize that all of the disciples that were unalived by whom? By the same people that turned around and created that mixed up amalgamated religion and knit Yeshua in the middle of this story as if they're the good guys. The scriptures tell you that the Romans unalived him, and the Romans went on a campaign and unalived most of the disciples too. And guess who rolled out Christianity? The Romans. The Catholic Church was the first bastion, if you will, of Christianity, created by Emperor Constantine in 325 AD, 300 years after they supposedly had unalived Yeshua. That's the part that people don't understand. They're constantly hollering about the Christians, the Christians, the Christians, but Christianity ain't got nothing to do with Yeshua except the fact that they put his name in the middle of their mess as a mascot. He was martyred by these people, and they lied to everybody and turned around 300 years after everybody done died or forgot, and then remixed the story like he's the hero of the book, that he had to die for them. He didn't have to die for them. He died because the Jews hated him. And they tried to tell him that worshiping Yahweh was the same thing as worshiping the devil. And they didn't want to hear it. They wanted to perpetuate Yahweh worship. So the Jews was worshiping him as Yahweh. They turn around and unalive Yeshua. Then they made up this religion, and the person that supposedly wrote all of the New Testament damn near was somebody who claimed he was an apostle appointed by Yeshua, never laid eyes on Yeshua, was a bitter persecutor of the Jews, hated the Jews and everything Yeshua stood for. And all of them letters, if you read them, the letters to the Galatians and the Corinthians, and basically he is coming in and writing to the stragglers that were left that still believed in Yeshua and telling them how they was wrong, they wasn't shit, and this is the new way we're moving forward with Christianity. Because I said so. Yeshua left me in charge. Yeshua said Peter was supposed to be the base of his church. So what did they do? They unalived Peter and come up with this made up story that Paul was supposed to be the new dude, the new head dude in town. But Paul was a bitter persecutor of the Jews and hated Yeshua. But when you don't know, because at that point in time, less than 10% of the world could read, this was illegal to have up until 500 years ago. If you got caught with sacred texts, you would be jailed or unalived. Only the priest and the clergy could have this text. So we had to just take it for their word that it said and meant what they said it said and meant. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at the surrounding history, get out of this and look at the rest of the history, they unalived that beautiful, beautiful teacher and used him as a scapegoat to perpetuate Yahweh worship into the rest of the world. They changed the name from Yahweh to Jehovah, but it's the same being, and they pushed that mess out into the world on the end of their weapons and their spears and went on a huge land grab around the planet. They unalived 80 million people to establish Christianity on the world, and they got us all doing high black magic, hailing Zeus in our prayers, because they taught us to pray in Jesus' name. Now we are praying to Yahweh, hailing Zeus, and ending it in a binding spell to Amun Ra, Marduk. Amen. And we don't have no idea what we're doing. Yeshua told us that after he left here, that there would come a great deception that would keep humanity lost. And damn if exactly what he said was going to happen didn't happen. Yep, absolutely. But what was that blood trail of tears about? It was exactly, we're taught in school. They teach us about the holy wars and the Inquisition and all the rest of that stuff. They call them the holy wars and the crusades. Crusading for what? Land for the crown, under the name of the church, church and state got together and bullied on people all around the planet and crammed this religion down people's throats, which is why we still use it to this day. And again, Judaism and Islam ain't no better because, like I say, they just stayed near relative little postage stamp pieces of the world. But this was the real vehicle, the mass media marketing tool. But all of it's Yahweh worship. You got to know what you're talking about. You said the Judah. Where did who say what exactly? That Yahweh is the devil? Oh, I got that one. I done read it so much in the past few weeks. I'm happy to read it for you again. Wait a minute, we're gonna get there. John chapter 8. I'm gonna start around 38 or 39 because it's several verses here. It says, they answered him, Abram is our father. Yeshua said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from Elohim, which means powerful ones. It's mistranslated as God in the scriptures, and it's singular God, but the term Elohim means powerful ones in the plural. That's important to note because I'm gonna just use the Elohim term instead of God, so you don't be as confused. Now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from Elohim. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works of your father did. They said to him, we are not born of sexual immorality. We have one father, even Elohim. Yeshua said to them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I came from Elohim and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. That part. Yeah. Again, Gaia, we're told that it means gods, but the real translation, again, the people that wrote this religion did a lot of disservices to us. They genericized, and everywhere it says Elohim, they put God in the singular. But in actual Hebrew translation, Elohim is not singular, and it does not mean God. It means powerful ones in the plural. And the term El Shaddai means sons of the powerful ones in the plural. And the term El Elyon means the destroyer. And Yahweh told Abraham, I am El Elyon, basically. Watch your step. There ain't no take backsies. You said you're going to serve me. I am El Elyon. Make sure you get it right. Don't get it twisted. He told him that when he first got with Abraham. Thank you, Penny. I appreciate you. You said, was the original book really written in Braille? Which original book? The Bible? There is no original Bible. This, again, we're taught to think that this is one contiguous thing. There's several authors. The Pentateuch is written by, the first 5 books are most likely written by Moses. Most likely because Moses lived a really long time. And then we get to some that got like Leviticus and all of them, and then David wrote a couple things, and Habakkuk. And there's different ones that wrote the smaller books. When we get to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, I don't honestly know who wrote those, but it's not likely that Matthew, Mark, or Luke wrote those books because they didn't actually meet Yeshua. Maybe, maybe not. John may have actually written John, but by the time we get to Acts of the Apostles, from Acts all the way through, at least through Hebrews, those books were all written by the person that claimed to be Paul. Whether it was actually Paul or not, we don't know. There's some folks that debate that, but all of those books were written by one individual from Hebrews all the way through. And even then, they still drop truth under Luciferian law. They have to give you the truth, even if they hide it in plain sight. It's not even so much transtheism, it's henotheism, which is what the well, yeah, or polytheism, if you will, because the Elohim were multiple. When they first came here, hold on, I don't know if it's going to tell it all in the introduction, but hold on. I might not be able to get everything in the introduction, but when they first came here, there were several of them that came, and then more came, and then more came as they started establishing the mining project and started establishing the Adamu project, trying to get to this atom being that they were making. More and more people started coming from Nibiru to help out in the subject. I mean, with the project. Yeah, honestly, all of the messages are more important than the messenger. But my thing is the way they put them together. What bothers me is they got Christians believing that this is one book and that it's chronologically correct. When they mishmashed the timelines a lot to create a narrative. What they did was took a lot of different texts that they found and altered them, spliced them together, abbreviated some of them, changed the meaning to some of them, like that all in Genesis, where this one begat this one and this one begat that one. Or even when they start talking about the hierarchy of the rulers, this king, Sennacherib reigned this long and this and that. That was like a mini version of the king's list in the Bible that they did that, but they make it seem like it had to be done because they were outlining the lineage leading to David, which would eventually lead to Yeshua. When the fact of the matter is, the Anunnaki just kept records like that because this was part of their breeding program. And once they decided to put humans in spot at first, they had God appointed hybrid king priests that were not fully human that ruled, and they ruled for thousands and thousands of years. That's what the Sumerian kings list is all about. And then when that system kind of fell to the wayside, they did start appointing priests and kings and all of that stuff that were fully human. But even some of them had enough Anunnaki blood in them. They lived a long time. Methuselah lived 969 years. That's a hybrid, like a show enough hybrid. Yeah, it's been remixed and all over the place. And to this day, Marvin, all that dragon stuff, because y'all debate Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah, ultimately he is a dragon. Tiamat was a dragon. She ain't got nothing to do with the Bible story, but I'm just saying, in the Babylonian epic, they tell you Enlil, Marduk, all the rest of them. Marduk said that she was supposed to be his mother by then, which ain't exactly true because Marduk was Enki's son, but they are not human. They are from other planetary systems. There are reptilians in that lot. There are feline beings like Lyrans and Pleiadians and all kinds of beings that made up the Anunnaki. But it seems like, from what they describe, most of the Anunnaki that came to Earth could take a somewhat humanoid looking form, but they could also take other forms. Well, honestly, and that was part of, hey, kill this art. Um, that was, but they said that. Let me see. Let's get here. Hold on. I'm gonna read part of this introduction. I may not be able to get all of it, but I mean, y'all are here. We could probably. Can we get the likes up in here? There was 92 people in the building, only 57 likes. Come on now, y'all do me a solid, please. There are some beings that want to use us as avatars. That's what some folks think the whole AI agenda is about, to really give us they give us the front end taste of the convenience of AI, and then convince us to do that neural link stuff so that they can literally take over the bodies, as because there are some beings that whose physical bodies don't do well here on Earth. The ones that initially came here, like I said, they had to go underneath into the halls of Amenti because they stayed here too long. They couldn't go home, but they have to go into rejuvenation chambers 100 years out of every 1,000 years so that they can maintain their physical bodies. Now they can still take avatars, incarnate in human vessels and that sort of thing. But again, they're from different dimensions as well. A sixth density being, I'm sure, can do a whole lot that a 3D avatar can't. It blows our minds because we don't want the angels. Angels are messengers. That's all the word angel means. So what we perceive as the angels flying around with the harps and the this and that are more Anunnaki beings. I understand that when I'm calling on Michael and all the rest of them, but that's one of the things that makes them seem more real and available to me as well. I can't see them. They are way more powerful than me. But I also understand they weren't sent from Sky Daddy. They really was here, and they really are here for our benefit. There's several factions. Everybody ain't of light, and everybody ain't of dark. And if you call on the ones of the light, like I said, this did become an issue of sovereignty. The Bible says it's an issue of sovereignty. The only problem is they fooled us into thinking that the issue of sovereignty between Yahweh and Satan, that's the lie that Christianity paints, that the issue of sovereignty is between Yahweh and Satan. They don't let you know that Yahweh is Satan. The issue of sovereignty is between Yahweh and Enki. They made us think to survive, they had to hybridize us to adapt to gravity. No, they hybridized us because they were running out of time. They were trying to save their home world. Their atmosphere destabilized so severely. Yeah. Their atmosphere destabilized so severely that they were beginning to have violent earthquakes and all kinds of natural disasters. Their home world was looking like a lot of like what we're going through now, but it was because they had holes in their atmosphere, and their scientists had figured out that if they could pulverize gold, enough gold, and launch it in their atmosphere, they could plug the holes in their atmosphere and save their home world. It has a lot to do with Gnosticism, Gaia. Gnosticism was around way before Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. Those came in and basically tried to paint the Gnostics as weirdos that didn't know what they was talking about, but they do know. And you're right, Scanned by Lauren, they couldn't go back. Some of them did go back, like Marduk and all of them that came along later. When things started paring down, a lot of them did go back, but the original ones, but Isis said she wasn't going to leave us. Enki, he just resigned himself. He's not going to leave us. And once this thing got so far out of hand, and his conscience kicked in, and he knew that they had to do something to stop this mess that their brother had put into motion, they were not going to leave us. And Thoth definitely ain't going to leave us. If you read the Emerald Tablets, he went through his spiritual chops, if you were, after he went into Amenti, after he stopped ruling here on earth and all that. He did go out into the cosmos and went on his spiritual path of ascension and gained immortality. And the moment he did it, and secured his own immortality, he went back to the dweller and asked if he could be allowed to continue to come in amongst man, to be a light to the children of men, so that they too may escape their bondage, their mental bondage, and reach a path of enlightenment. Sound a little Christ-like, don't it? When you read the Emerald Tablets, there's a strong correlation between Thoth and Yeshua. Very strong. He said, Most High is God the Creator, who say, I am, ain't the one that created all the reality in heaven and earth. No, Yahweh said he created the heavens and the earth in the Bible. That's a bald-faced lie. This planet was already bioformed and terraformed when they got here. Yahweh is not the Most High. That's one of the things that has humanity stuck. Okay, Samir. Your ears are ringing because you receiving downloads, boo. They gonna tell you it's tinnitus though. Not today, baby. We're on a roll. I really can't right now. Maybe if you, I might pull a little bit if you're still here towards the end. But right now we're in the introduction of the Lost Book of Enki. Let me get to it. Some 445,000 years ago, astronauts from another planet came to Earth in search of gold. Splashing down in one of Earth's seas, they waded ashore and established Eridu, the home in the far away. In time, the initial settlement expanded to a full-fledged mission Earth with a mission control center, a spaceport, mining operations, and even a way station on Mars. Short of manpower, the astronauts employed genetic engineering to fashion primitive workers, Homo sapiens. The deluge that catastrophically swept over the Earth required a fresh start. The astronauts became gods, granting mankind civilization, teaching it to worship. Then, about 4,000 years ago, all that had been achieved unraveled in a nuclear calamity brought about by the visitors to Earth in the course of their own rivalries and wars. That would be when Marduk unleashed the evil winds and destroyed Sumer and everything else. What had taken place on Earth, and especially the events since human history began, has been called by Zechariah Sitchin in his Earth Chronicles series from the Bible, clay tablets, ancient myths, and archaeological, has been called, by Zechariah Sitchin in the Earth Chronicles from the Bible, clay tablets, ancient myths, and archaeological discoveries. But what had preceded the events on Earth, what had taken place on the astronauts' own planet Nibiru that caused the space journeys, the need for gold, the creation of man, what emotions, rivalries, beliefs, morals, or lack thereof motivated the principal players in the celestial and space sagas? What were the relationships that caused mounting tensions on Nibiru and on Earth? What tensions arose between old and young, between those who had come from Nibiru and those born on Earth? And to what extent was what had happened determined by destiny, a destiny whose record of past events holds the key to the future? Yeah. Now I'm not going. This is some of the nonfiction works in the introduction, so I'm not going to read all of that. It's several pages long, and they started quoting some stuff. But what I am going to take you into now, after that, is the actual attestation of Endupsar. And like the Bible, we have, like I said, Paul wrote this book, and John wrote this book, and Habakkuk wrote this book. This, according to the translation, this book was taken in dictation from Lord Enki and written down by Endupsar, which is a scribe. And again, don't know who he is exactly. He was a scribe in the temple. He was a servant of Lord Enki, not Lord Enlil. Enki. But he wrote down what Enki told him to. So if we can read all of the stuff that Enlil's people wrote down, I gave it the same kind of respect because Zechariah Sitchin translated it with the same kind of respect. This was an actual document, a series of tablets that were found, and he got a chance to work on them when he got the translation key for the cuneiform language, and he turned around and wrote it. This is called The Lost Book of Enki by Zechariah Sitchin. And thank you, Shantavia. Okay. The words of Endupsar, master scribe, son of Eridu city, servant of the Lord Enki, great God. In the 7th year after the great calamity, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day. Now notice, they're not giving us, they were keeping time differently, but this ain't no once upon a time in a land far away. He's actually naming months that if we understood their time frame, we would have been able to calculate the actual year. So he ain't just blowing smoke, he's making an actual documentation of what he's doing and why he's doing it. He said, in the 7th year after the great calamity, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day, I was summoned by my master, Lord Enki, great God, benevolent fashioner of mankind, omnipotent and merciful. I was among the remnants of Eridu who had escaped to the arid steppe just as the evil wind was nearing the city. And I wandered off into the wilderness to seek withered twigs for firewood. And I'm going to stop right here. The evil wind was the nuclear fallout from Marduk unleashing the weapons of terror onto the planet. In the Anunnaki wars, he was mad because one of his cousins was getting too much power and he wanted to shut down one of their transport stations. So he went crying to Enlil and got permission to go before the council, and they unleashed the weapons of terror. They knew it was a bad idea. It caused problems when they did it on their planet, but they had no idea it was going to be as devastating as it was when they did it in Africa. It damn near took out the whole continent. Not the weapon itself, the nuclear fallout. It destroyed Schumer, Eridu, and all the rest of them. Nuclear fallout, yes. And honestly, for those who don't want to believe it, when we had that desert storm and all that stuff happen, why do you think that they told that lie that they was looking for weapons of mass destruction? Because all of the stuff that happened, the Garden of Eden, and all the rest of that happened in Iraq. This was the part of the world that the lost book, and that book had literally just finished being translated. It hadn't even been completely authenticated yet, but Sitchin finished translating this work to indicate that there was weapons of terror that was put back here 400,000 years ago, and they sent people over there to try to find them again in the midst of all of this. They were off-planetary weapons that were put on spaceships to fight in the galactic wars. They were never meant to be used on land. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Tasha. A celestial bark? Yeah. Uh-huh. Exactly. People don't understand what they read and they sweep so much stuff. Yeah, I definitely encourage you to watch it later because we go through a lot. It just flows right here. But let me get back to this reading. I'm sorry. I wandered off into the wilderness to seek wet, withered twigs for firewood, and I looked up, and lo and behold, a whirlwind came from out of the south. They showed in whirlwinds, vimanas, clouds, flame. They always showed up in something with the wind and the flame and the thunder. Yeah. There was a reddish brilliance about it, and it made no sound. And as it reached the ground, 4 straight feet spread out from its belly, and its brilliance disappeared. And I threw myself to the ground and prostrated myself, for I knew it was a divine vision. And when I lifted my eyes, there were 2 divine emissaries standing near me, and they had the faces of men, and their garments were sparkling like burnished brass. And they called me by name and spoke to me, saying, "You are summoned by the great God, the Lord Enki. Fear not, for you are blessed. And we are here to take you aloft and carry you into his retreat in the land of Megan, on the island amidst the river Megan, where the sluices are." And as they spoke, the whirlwind itself, a fiery chariot, and was gone. The whirlwind lifted itself as a fiery chariot and was gone. And they took me by the hands, each one grasping me by one hand, and they lifted me and carried me swiftly between the earth and the heavens as the eagle soars. And I could see the land and the waters, the plains and the mountains. Now his way of describing it was limited because they didn't have spaceships and airplanes and all of that back then. But isn't that what he describing? Isn't that what he describing? Mm-hmm. And they let me down on the island gateway of the great God's abode. And the moment they let go of my hands, a brilliance as I had never seen before engulfed and overwhelmed me, and I collapsed on the ground as though voided of the spirit of life. My life senses returned to me as if awakened from the deepest sleep, and by the sound of calling of my name. I was in some kind of an enclosure. It was dark, but there was also an aura. Then my name was called again by the deepest of voices, and although I could hear it, I could not tell whence the voice came, nor could I see whoever it was that spoke. And I said, "Here I am." Then the voice said to me, "Endupsar, offspring of Adapa." Oh, that's another one we'll find out later in the book. We get the Adam and Eve story, but Adam and Eve were not the only creations that they kind of fawned over. Adam and Eve were the first fertile man and woman, but after about 100,000 years, Adam and Eve's lineage began to devolve again, and Enki shored up the human genome by mating with several humans to bring more Anunnaki blood back into our bloodline. Adapa is the offspring. Well, he made it with 2 females, Dawn and Dusk, and Adapa was born from one of them, and Titi was born of the other, and they were known as the first civilized man. Yes, the Book of Adapa, or they have called the myth of Adapa. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is you said what now? Is there any books with insights to prepare and understand? That's what we're doing right now, Shantavia. Stay hooked in on this channel. We're going all the way through it, baby. Oh, they do have it on Spotify. That's wonderful. I don't have it on Spotify, but I have read it here. It's here on YouTube too. in my playlist. And Astro Legends TV does a wonderful version of it, and Ancient Astronaut Archives, I think, does as well. Okay. Honestly, I know people get upset with and don't want to believe that, Marvin, but I believe it. I've had craft several times. My youngest daughter has been on craft. She don't want to talk about it no more. I didn't understand it until a few days after it happened. She experienced a time skip, and when she started opening up to me. I think she was about 11 or 12 when she told me about it, and the things that she was describing did not come from Hollywood. We didn't do a whole lot of them Hollywood movies, but to this day she's very special, but she don't want to acknowledge it, and she's had a lot of problems trying to outrun her spiritual gift and her calling. But I absolutely believe you, Marvin. I saw a whole fleet of them in the night sky, and people thought I was crazy too. It looked like, well, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, but I definitely believe you. Yeah, I believe you. He says, is it true when we're children of the Most High? Yeah, but if you got to continue again, it depends on how you're interpreting the scriptures. We are children of what we call the Most High, but not Yeshua. I mean, not Yahweh. We are children of Lord Enki. Yahweh was against this whole breeding program from day one. The only reason that he agreed to it was because he wanted to pretend to be gods, and he insisted that we had a worship gene put in us so that they could control us. But he didn't like the idea from day one. But Lord Enki is the one that gave us his DNA, him and Ninma, Isis. Thoth is Enki's son. That's one of the reasons humans are so near and dear to him, too. This was their baby. Enlil, Ninma, and Thoth are the ones who fashioned us. And that's why they won't leave us until our consciousness expands. The Lost Book of Enki. Again, you can get it on Amazon. You can get all of Zechariah Sitchin's works, but look on YouTube. There's quite a bit of information about Zechariah Sitchin. And like I said, there's a couple of readings of this book, and I do it as well. Let's get back here, though, because this is pretty cool. When the way he's describing why and how he came to do this. Yeah, we do. Because what we've been told divinity is not exactly what it is, but we absolutely have power over this world. We were given this planet as dominion over this planet. The creator of all has determined that this is our home. Now we can our consciousness can expand and we can go to other realms and all that, but overall humans in their physical avatar form, this is our home. We are something new unto the universe. We was created here, and that's what we're supposed to be here. Now let's see. Then the voice said to me, Endupsar, offspring of Adapa, I have chosen you to be my scribe, that you write down my words on the tablets. And all at once there appeared a glowing in one part of the enclosure, and I saw a place arranged like a scribal workplace, a scribe's table and a scribe's stool, and there were finely shaped stones on the table, but I saw no clay tablets nor containers of wet clay. And there lay upon the table only one stylus, and it glistened in the glowing as no reed stylus ever did. And the voice spoke up again, saying, Endupsar, son of Eridu's city, my faithful servant, I am your Lord Enki. Now again, he's still following Enlil's words. He's talking to Endupsar, but he's not breaking the rules. Endupsar is not seeing him. He's just seeing the preparations and the things, because they did a lot of talking behind the wall and in the smoke and in the flame and all of that. He got a chance to see the messengers that brought him here, but he did not get to see Lord Enki's face because Enlil said that they could not see their faces. Okay. Um, He said, I've summoned you to write down my words, for I am much distraught by what has befallen mankind by the great calamity. It is my wish to record the true course of the events, to let gods and men alike know that my hands are clean. Not since the great deluge has such a calamity befallen the earth and the gods and the earthlings. Now he's mentioning the earth and the gods and the earthlings. They called each other gods, because that's what Enlil insisted upon. but they were the Anunnaki who came here. And Anunnaki simply means those to who earth from heaven came. They came here and they told us they were gods, and they called each other gods, and we were the earthlings. But the great deluge was destined to happen, not so the great calamity. He's talking the great deluge, he's talking about the flood. The flood that they talk about in the Enuma Elish and Atrahasis, the flood they talk about in the Bible. Lord have mercy. Noah's name, his other name is Zizudra. He shows up in the Babylonian epic and all the rest of that. But that flood story that actually happened, they did not cause the flood. It was a natural disaster that could not be prevented. But Lord Enlil wanted us all to drown in the flood. No, Ningishzida is Thoth. Zizudra is Noah. And Noah was a hybrid. He was Enki's son from a human. He was half Anunnaki, half human. And they said he looked different. They said his skin, his hair was white as snow, and his skin probably some kind of, he sounded like even more than just regular albinism. And he was very, very tall. Noah was a hybrid. No, you're fine. Utnapishtim is one, yeah, that's one of his names in the Babylonian epic, I think. It's Utnapishtim. It's Zizudra in the Anunnaki tales. It's Utnapishtim in, I think, in the Atrahasis or the Enuma Elish, one of them two, and it's Noah in the Bible. Yeah, it is. But that's what I'm saying. I think it was more than just albinism. I don't think it was true albinism. I think it was because of his extraplanetary heritage. His parent was literally Lord Enki. So the great deluge was destined to happen, not so the great calamity. This one, 7 years ago, need not have happened. It could have been prevented, and I, Enki, did all I could to prevent it. Alas, I failed. And was it fate or was it destiny? In the future shall it be judged, for at the end of the days, a day of judgment there shall be. Revelation. On that day the earth shall quake, and the rivers shall change course, and there shall be darkness at noon, and a fire in the heavens in the night. The day of the returning of the day of the returning celestial God it will be. Again, I'm getting goosebumps myself because I've been saying, and people look at me and don't want to hear it. We're gonna go back, maybe not tonight, because but read Revelation chapter 20, the last half of chapter 20, and then go into 21 and 22. After they changed Satan, the devil, the manslayer, the one called Satan, blah, blah, blah. It's right in there. Wait a minute. I'm going to read it now because y'all ain't going to believe me. I'm trying to tell you, the more I read this stuff, it's been hiding in plain sight all our times. But because we let the preachers and the pastors put their spin on it and try to tell us we don't know what we're looking at, and they want to get so caught up in the symbolism of Revelation, they forget the part that's sitting right there that don't even need no interpretation. It just need reading. Revelation chapter 20 says, Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and threw him into the pit, and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he might not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be released for a little while. Now, here's the part that people don't want to hear. Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah. When he came here as Enlil, his first title, when he got to earth, was Lord of the Command. His second position title, when they set up their base camps, was Satan of the Eden. Satan was Lord Enlil's title. Jehovah is Satan. But people don't know that because Christianity done mixed it onto something else. Again, no, I'm looking at all of that because all of those beliefs go way older than Christianity. Christianity is only 2,500 years old. Okay? That's the part people don't understand. This earth is hundreds of thousands of years old, and the whole earth done allowed the newest kid on the block to come in and run everything. And we just believed the lie because they done told us, enough people told us, and we just accepted it and went on by our business. And you're right, there's a lot of Jews that didn't subscribe to it. The Jews didn't start worshiping Yahweh until Abraham got hooked up by Yahweh. Before then, Abraham's father Lamech was a scribe in the temple of Nannar-Sin, the moon god. I'm telling you who our creator is. Well, okay, I actually spoke on that before on one of my videos on the channel, 288 Pearls. It's our human need that we want to know who the big boss is, but that's kind of like a petulant child determining that they're not going to listen to their parents unless they can meet their great 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 grandfather who's been gone 500 years. I don't have to listen to daddy because I can't go all the way back to the source. Our consciousness ain't even developed enough to understand how to get to the source. Thoth describes that in the Lost Book of Enki, all the stuff he had to do, the long fasting and learning how to astral travel and learning how to go through the realms through curves and not the angles, and then going down to talk to the dweller and the Lord of the Seven, and then the 30 and 2, and eventually he could get to the one. We just want to cut through all the spiritual work, stamp our foot, and demand to know the one. No. Tyler Ritchie, you ain't understood or heard nothing I had to say if you're going to sit there and say he didn't exist when they got that man's information carved all over temples, kings, lists, scribes, and buttons and everything else. You need to go somewhere and open your mind, brother. You don't have to keep sipping the Kool-Aid. You really don't. You can free your mind and the rest will follow. Thoughts did exist, my dear. You said, right, you ain't imagine this stuff. Somebody get rid of Tyler Ritchie here. His mind ain't ready for this. You ain't got to get rid of him all the way. Just make him invisible so he can just sit down and be quiet. Because for some reason, he feels a need to spew foolishness up in here. I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I got him. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So back to Revelation, though. It says, no, we're going to 21. Now, as far as 1,000 years, again, and I'm not a seminary trained anything, but I've talked to several seminary trained folks, and I've been reading this and trying to put it together and reading it and trying to put it together. Thank you, Mary. I'm here. Good. Same thing, baby. I was raised big time Christian. Like I say, Bible study, ministry school, Sunday sermon, over here, that and the other. And then on top of all of that other church learning we had, I had to sit down and read aloud for my mother every day. All of that Deuteronomy and all of that stuff. When I tell you I know this Bible, but even still, I'm starting to learn new things about it because back when I was looking at that, some of these works were still being translated, or actually they'd been translated. We didn't have access to them because I was born before the internet was a thing. Dorial just translated the Lost Book. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth in 1928. The Lost Book of Enki just got finished. I think Sitchin finished that work in like 2006, and I don't think it was published until like 2016 or 2019, something like that. So the internet literally has brought all of this information out of the caves, out of the mystery schools, out of the Gnostic this and all of that. We're getting access to it now, so it's time we can find it and open our eyes. Is there an Esau or an Issa in any of my readings? Um, I haven't run across one yet, but like I say, we're still just getting into Esau I think was one of that truthfully could be one of Yeshua's names, Esau ben Nazariah, I think he was known as. But here's the part I want y'all to understand. When I was looking at the scripture talking about the 1,000 years for him having been thrown in the pit, and it was sealed for 1,000 years that he might not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be released for a little while, and then he'll be basically released to do his worst on the earth. And they said it was going to be a horrible kick up, and then he's going to be bound and destroyed again. Don't that sound an awful lot like what happened after Christianity was established and after all of that stuff. It was violent and bloody for a while, and then we went into what they call the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages lasted roughly 1,000 years. It was relatively quiet on this planet. Very little was happening religiously, very little was happening politically, very little was happening in the arts, the scientists. They literally call it the Dark Ages when they teach it to us in school. Sounds to me like that could have been a time when Enlil, Yahweh, was bound. When he was released back out for a time, he started showing his behind again. Didn't we start seeing the wars and the this and the that, all this stuff kicking up since like the 16, 1700s? And world wars starting to happen into the late 19th, early 19th century, and all that kind of stuff, and religion kicking up ever so much more, and all of that other stuff. Yeah. hmm So for me, oh, I just feel like to some degree that was the time period where he had been bound. We're now living in the time when he'd been released for a time, and then it says when the 1,000 years were listen. It said that when the 1,000 years were ended, Satan will be released from his prison and come out to deceive the nations that are at the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle. Their number is like the sand of the sea. And they marched up over the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints in the beloved city. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them. And the devil who had deceived them all was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Now, again, don't get excited. They use part of the scriptures to get y'all scared of hell. If you notice, hell ain't for no humans. It's for the dragon, for the devil, for Satan. Ain't got nothing to do with humans. That's the lie the church put on you. What did he say? 8 arguments? Whatever. Again, I'm looking to the what they taught us in school. I wasn't there. 8 arguments. I'm just telling you what I was taught in school and how I understand what I was taught could be a correlation to this time that was being spoken of here in Revelation chapter 20. Third world ain't accurate of a term either, but they still use it. Danny, I don't know who. My opinion follows Yeshua's teachings. I'm following what he told me, and I'm following where he's leading me now. He said that he would not leave us as orphans. The Holy Spirit would show us in this time, and I'm telling you what I'm following. So if you don't like my opinion, you're free to leave. Because I didn't tell nobody. None of us have the unequivocal truth. That's the part that most of us get stuck in because of religion. They get stuck in such religious arrogance, not understanding they've been fed literally a kindergarten pablum version of religion, and they get so stuck in their haughtiness that they don't even know how ignorant they are. Thank you, Skin by Lauren. I take this real seriously. I sat on this information for almost a year, afraid to speak out until Yeshua basically let me know this is the gig. Take it or leave it. And I promised him over 15 years ago, if he showed me what to do, I would go. If I don't, I'm going to have a Jonah moment. I can say, here I am, send me, Lord, or I can have a Jonah moment. So I got my behind up here and decided to be. Well, then you know what? Go back to the Quadricool kitten or whatever. If you so ignorant you don't know who Yeshua is, listen along. Maybe you'll catch up because I know you know better. You coming in here calling yourself being funny. Exactly. In order, and that's just it. John, all the rest of these people had revelations, but they don't understand that in this day and time, we have to connect the dots. We've got a lot of information that was thrown at us, and these people want to sit here in religion and act like the only people that ever got any information whatsoever was people that walked the earth 4,000 years ago. And clearly, Abraham and Moses really needed their eyes open because they chose to follow a dragon who lied to them and never fulfilled his promises to them. And the reason I know they didn't fulfill his promise because Yahweh told Abraham he was going to give Abraham the land, the promised land, the land of Canaan. And then in that same book, 500 years later, he promised it again to Moses and them. If he had gave it to Abraham the way he was supposed to, Moses would have already had it. Moses and the nation of Israel wouldn't have been enslaved in captivity in Egypt if Yahweh had not been a liar. He did not give them the promised land. They still fighting over it to this day. Turn on the news and see if they ain't. Because they keep swearing and be damned that Yahweh promised them that land. He'd have promised it to them 2 or 3 times and never gave it to them. And then turned around and told them, I think it was in Ezekiel, that they're stiff-necked people and he washed his hands of them. And they still looking for Yahweh to deliver them something. Yahweh ain't never going to fulfill his promises to nobody. Look at Hebrews chapter 11, verse 40. It tells you that none of the people in the Bible, none of the faithful men and women of old ever had their promises fulfilled. Ever. You right. Yahweh ain't shit. You can say it with your whole chest. Anyway, we're going to go back over here. It said that he was going to be thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur where the beast and the false prophet are. And then all of that at the end, not only is he going to be destroyed, but so will death and Hades. All of that will be destroyed. And those who actually chose to continue to ride with him in their ignorance, they just absolutely would not learn the truth, and they continue to follow his violent way, they'll go with him. And then it says in 21, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of Elohim is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and Elohim himself will be with them as their Elohim. Now, they done just got rid of one Elohim here in 20. So who is this new Elohim that's coming down with this new base camp, this new Jerusalem? And don't that sound like a new spaceship coming down? It's a base camp. After this war, after all of that stuff, Yahweh was released. They're going to... You said what? By Muhammad, we're not doing in the name of Allah up in here. Allah is Yahweh, a dragon. We don't do that here. Yeah, exactly. Yahweh is the one going to be cast into the lake of fire, and he going to be in here calling in the name of Allah. Again, they demons get on them. They can't hear. They can't think because they're so used to that, all that bowing and scraping and praying and whatever, all of their rituals. They're so caught in that, they refuse to hear what we're saying. I get it that it may take some time to get over this stuff, but they won't sit down and close their mouth long enough to learn nothing. But it tell you right here, if the one called devil and Satan, who Yahweh was the Satan of the Eden, they started out in Genesis chapter 2, let us make man in our image. It was more than one Elohim in chapter 2. And then Yahweh came in and took over the story and somehow squeezed Enki out, and he became the be-all, end-all, the alpha and the omega, and all of that stuff he did with all the slavery and the murdering and the all through the Bible. But it tells us down here at the end that they sick of him too. And at the end of this gig, they are so sick of him that he's going to be bound and jailed. And here's the thing, even in the lost book of Enki, he was exiled one time before for showing his ass. Marduk was exiled twice for showing his ass. Neither one of them behaved. They don't have no love for humanity. They're greedy and grasping and selfish people. I didn't say gods. They put themselves up to be gods. They are very much more powerful than us, yes. Other dimensional beings from us, yes. Almighty God, hell to the no. These are two brothers who came here and dared to play God and literally bamboozled us into believing that we're God. They are not gods. They are false gods. Absolutely. Hey, Nicolisa, how you doing, baby? Well, Yahweh wanted to be worshipped. Enlil really did. I mean, Enki, Lord Enki did not want to be worshipped. He put that worship gene in us because Yahweh demanded that he do so. The primary geneticist on this project was Lord Enki, with Ninmah and Thoth backing him up. Those are the three that were the us that made man in their image. But Lord Enki was the one that made us. Lord Enlil came along and demanded that we have a chip or a gene put in us that made us want to worship. And then they started telling that lie that we're gods and this and that and all that other good stuff. You said you heard 3 knocks and no one was there. Was that bad? It depends. I hear knocks sometimes. Sometimes it may just be your guys getting your attention. If you ain't got nothing weird happening and nothing scratching and fighting and throwing stuff off the shelves, it just literally may be some of your ancestors or spirit trying to get your attention. I've had that happen. Yep, we have a worship gene. Yeah, exactly. We literally have the propensity to worship put in us. But here's the thing. The reason I know Enki don't want worship, because when he gave us the worship gene, he felt so bad about it. He gave us the ability to turn it off. He put that in this book too. This book right here is like his memoirs. They call it Memoirs of an Extraterrestrial God. It is the prophecies, memoirs, and prophecies of an extraterrestrial God. Enlil, Yahweh, his brother, was so off the chain, and after Marduk unleashed the weapons of terror and all of that stuff that was happening, he felt so bad about how out of hand everything had gotten that he wrote this. He had Endupsar write this so that in future times he was hoping that one of the chosen ones would find it and be able to set the record straight, because he literally was fighting a battle by himself. Enlil was out here showing his natural butt, being the biggest donkey he knew how to do, but he was Lord of the Command. Enki was the scientist, and this and that. He was the one that had love for us and saw us as his children, because we literally have his DNA in us. But his hands were tied because Enlil was the one running the show here on Earth. He was just a scientist. So he wrote this to let us know what the deal really is. So if we can believe it and not be so caught up in the lies and the bullshit that we refuse to hear it, that maybe, just maybe, we could expand our consciousness and dig our way out from under the lies. That's why he left this book here. You're welcome. Oh yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. That's where I got it and all the rest of such and stuff. And they're really not that expensive. The Earth Chronicles series is available like as a bound set. It's like a paperback set. And I think it was about $60 or $70. I think this book was like maybe, the retail on it is $16. It's not expensive. And there's a couple of other ones like there were gods on the earth, and the king who refused to die. We're gonna go through them. But I mean, I think all of them together, I probably paid less than $200. I know for sure I paid less than $200 for all of them, and it's about 15 or 16 books. And that's the whole reason I'm here, baby. Nicole, that is the entire reason I'm here. When I found the truth about who Yahweh was, I felt so bamboozled, lied to, betrayed. I was angry. I was all of that, because before, here's the thing. When I first walked away from Christianity, I thought it was just the Jehovah's Witnesses that was wrong, and I was going to go find the right sect of Christianity. But my love was always for Yeshua. My thing was, I felt like, and I told my children, if I can't believe nothing else in this book, If I can't believe but one sentence in this book, I'm not saying I don't believe, I believe way more than one sentence in here, but I'm saying if I couldn't have but one takeaway from the Bible, it's that God is love. That's the part that always stuck to me. That's what I felt like a God should be. And the mess that I was reading about the God they call God in this book, that don't match love. How God going to endorse slavery and misogyny and grape and war and poverty and all that stuff? That Yahweh ain't love. That nigga is on some shit. And I'm gonna call him that. I'm using the N word with my whole chest with Yahweh. Yeah. Absolutely, Nicole. And that's what people don't understand. They think because I'm speaking out against religion that I don't love Yeshua. I absolutely adore Yeshua to my very last breath. That's why I have to speak out, even though the trolls gonna keep coming for me. I have to keep telling it because if I can help even one of my brothers and sisters wake up and see the light and stop worshiping that damn dragon, and step out from under the black magic and blood curse that is Christianity, then my time here is not in vain. That is my ministry. Yeshua did it for 3 straight years. I've only been at it a couple months now. I can do it. It's on Amazon for $14 now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Honestly, Natural Heaven, when I found out the truth about who Enki was, that came along later because again, I was raised under Yahwistic religions. I was raised Jehovah's Witness. Then I started examining other things in Christianity. Later on, it was a couple years ago that I was taken through the I Am Discourses of Saint Germain, and then I was led to the Christ letters. Christ Returns speaks His truth, as well as Anna, grandmother of Jesus. And then I was led to the works of Edmund Berto Zakelli. He did he talks about the Essene Gospel of Peace, but he also there's an audiobook version on it where he's doing a discussion of the origins of Christianity and talking about how Moses was a high mystic and this and that. And it was just, I just let spirit guide the algorithm, and where they led me I followed and I absorbed, and I went back and meditated. Then I go and absorb something else, and then after about 3 years of, well, about 2 years of meditation, I understood that I was on the path of initiation. In early 2020, I was led to an initiation study group under Master Dwal Kul through the Elemental Grace Alliance, and it helped me understand what was happening as far as those turn of the century religions and why all of that stuff was happening. If you keep listening, Jen, you'll know I can't go all the way back to the beginning because of you right now. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. We've just been here for a couple of hours. I cannot go all the way back to the beginning. You're more than welcome once this uploads for you to listen. I also encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Go into the playlist marked Modern Mystic Loved Ones, and I have a whole series of talks here that will help you understand some of what I believe for sure. And oh, you're welcome, my love. I knew I was going to have to, but again, I had that fear. Number one, was I ready to say it? Well, first off, number one, did I really believe it? I had to search it for a while and let it rattle around in my brain for a while to see how I felt about it and make sure that I wasn't just jumping the gun in my imagination and all of that. Oh, The Lost Book of Enki by Zachariah Sitchin. But then the weirdest thing happened about 2 years ago. And again, I've been in hermit mode for a very, very long time. So morning meditation out in the grass, barefoot, sitting on the yoga ball, sitting in Sunday afternoon for a couple of hours of meditation, all of that kind of stuff is part of my routine. And then I noticed the shift in my meditations because I did a lot of the Hindu mantras and things like that. I did some with the Lotus Sutra and those sorts of things. But I started kind of connecting with Yeshua in a profound way. And he started reminding me of who the Romans were and what really happened in the Bible with that whole thing. And I had to sit with that for a minute. And then I literally had a conversation with Enlil. When I was sitting out one day, it was kind of like a you got me, that moment where Toto pulled the curtain back and discovered that the wizard really was just a dude. I had a very profound moment like that in the backyard with Enlil. And shortly after that, Yeshua started leading me to the information about Lord Enki. I got like I said, a wild hair one day that I don't even know how or when the notion or the information was brought to me about the lost book of Enki. But the moment I saw it, I was like, Lynn, I mean, who was it talking about having Skin by Lauren? I had to go on Amazon and I ordered it. And the day after I ordered it, I wound up ordering everything else. I was working at the time, so it wasn't no big, terrible expense. But I felt like I needed to get all of that information because my boyfriend. Oh, I know how I was led to it. I mean, I had come to realize as a child. You said the sounds of birds chirping, very grounding. Yes, very grounding. Um, as a child, my parents had parts of the Apocrypha up on the top shelf of the bookshelf in our house. I was forbidden to read them. I grew up Jehovah's Witness. They cared enough about spirituality. They had a lot of those ancient texts, but at that time, I guess they didn't want it confusing me, so I was forbidden to read them. And they saddled me with so much other biblical stuff that yeah, I do. It's on there. It's called the Lost Book of Enki, and I take it tablet by tablet. We read it. I give my insights and thoughts on it. But I've gone through the entire Lost Book of Enki on this channel. There is a playlist on my channel. Um, but a couple of summers ago, it occurred to me I'd avoided. I had even downloaded the Apocrypha in one of my older phones and just never got around to reading it. And it occurred to me that I wanted to start going through it now. I'm like, there's a reason they don't want us to look at that. There's a reason they took those books out. If I'm trying to understand what's happening with all of this, maybe I should look at the stuff they don't want us to look at. And so I went online to look for audio versions of various books, and I thought I was going to start with the book of Enki. And it just so not Enki, the book of Enoch and the Apocrypha. When I went to go find an audio version of the book of Enoch, it just so happened that at the time I was looking for that, Astral Legends TV had dropped the Lost Book of Enki in this little semi-animated form. And as part of one of our date nights, me and my long distance boyfriend, we watch movies and stuff. We'll like text each other and okay, can y'all hear me now? Yeah. We decided instead of us watching an African movie, since that movie had dropped, we were gonna listen to the um the Book of Enoch together. But since they had just dropped that in movie form, yeah, no, I've been talking all day and didn't forgot to switch it out. They went ahead since they had just dropped the Lost Book of Enki. We sat down and watched that instead, and I was like, oh. But even then, that was like in June or July. I didn't quite get it. Last October, in fact, it was October, the weekend of October 20th. I got those videos on the channel too. I had gone down to Florida to visit my daughter for the weekend of my grandson's birthday party, but I was staying with my daughter and her girl, and they went to bed that night. We had sat up and did all we was gonna do and all of that, and I was sleeping on the couch in the living room. I didn't have to, but I wanted to sit out and watch TV, so I got comfortable, and the thought came to me, you got time on your hands, go back through and listen to the book again. But this time, instead of watching it like a movie, listen to it like you would a reading of the Bible. Give it the same level of respect you would a recitation of the Bible. And I did. I stood there. It took me the better part of 2 days because it was 6 hours and I would fall asleep and I have to wake up and go back a little bit and all of that. But I did that. And when I listened to them discussing the Lost Book of Enki, I was like, oh my goodness. You called for it, baby. You said, how do I become a mystic? again, I sat down in meditation and decided I wanted to learn how to create nothing from nothing. I mean, something from nothing. That's the beginning of alchemy right there. And I ain't had sense enough to know what I was asking for. Like Spirit said, be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. But for real, my clairaudience started opening up in 2007. I've never been regular. I just didn't know that at the time. I've been set aside for a long time, but I had my first clairaudient experience in 2007, even though I didn't really know what was happening. And I had another one in 2008 that actually wound up being a very prophetic message for two people that were around. One of them was a coworker of mine. I don't even remember her name to this day. I was not friends with the lady, none of the rest of that. But I got up to go to the restroom one night, and at 1:30 in the morning, I remember because I looked at my phone, I was half asleep, but all of a sudden, as I'm literally sitting on the toilet, it was like shoot, shoot, shoot. Four thoughts came into my head suddenly that I know I didn't think. And two of them were for other people. One of them was a coworker of mine, and it was to give her the message to go to the doctor immediately. And the other one was for a guy I was dating at the time, that if he did not take the next, he had a huge lawsuit going, and the message was that if he did not take the next settlement offer that came through, that they were going to find a loophole in his case and he'd lose all his money. The co-worker, when I went to work the next day, I told her, I don't know why, but I got the message, you need to go to the doctor, not now, but right now. Do not go home and go to bed. Go to the urgent care. She did it. She was gone from work for almost 2 weeks. When she came back, she hugged me so hard she almost cracked my ribs. She was a Desert Storm vet with shrapnel in her head. She said the doctor said that shrapnel was on the move, and if she had not gone in that night, she probably would have went home and laid down and passed away. But because she followed that advice, she was still alive and she's fine and all the rest. And she hugged me so hard. She was like, I don't know how you knew. And then she stopped. She said, I do know. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't know I had a gift at that time. I was still tangled up in the world, trying to sort out my dumpster fire of a life, had all kinds of crazy people around me. But in that same job, I had a couple people stop and speak prophecy over my life, and they would stop and want to pray with me, not for me, with me. I had people stop and tell me they knew I knew Yeshua because they could see it on me, and I still didn't know what was going on. But the dude, the guy I was dating that ignored the advice that I told him about the settlement, he lost $238 million because his arrogance wouldn't let him listen to me. And that's when I was like, oh, something is seriously happening. And then around 2011 or 2012, I started really having like kind of a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, and the energy in my hands ramped up. I met a mentor at that time who taught me how to do salt baths and cleanse my aura and all of that. And I still wasn't meditating. I was still dealing with a lot of crap. But yeah, my hands really came on. But when I would try to that do energy healings and things back then, it was zapped me so bad I would sleep for like an hour. I could take away little headaches and little stuff like that, but I would get really tired. So I just completely stopped doing all of that stuff for a long time. And then because I ignored it long enough, I finally sat down in 2016 and I decided I was going to meditate. And by spring of 2017, I knew I was going under some kind of a transformation. And by 2018, Spirit kicked the slats out from under me at the hands of a very high level soulmate, my ex, baby daddy, all the rest of that. And I was forced into hermit mode. And that's when I got real spiritual. I just really started studying. Yeah. Oh yeah, Lauren, it was a huge mistake for him. And here's the thing, that was one of the ones that I had to cut off later on down the line too, because he missed out on that, but he saw my light. He finally saw it and acknowledged it before I did. He told me a couple of years ago, before I cut him all the way out of my life, because he was hanging around in that weird friend zone too. He needed the energy for healing. But he said that he saw me being a teacher. He said that I had the potential to be a teacher on the scale of like a Minister Farrakhan or the Dalai Lama or whatever. And I'm like, boy, you out of your mind. What? He was like, I'm telling you, you got a calling on your life. And he wanted to hang along for the ride, but no, can't do that. Can't do that. Norbert, you're gonna get out of here with that foolishness. Your mind need to be changed. You just on stupid. I ain't even gonna. Yeah, we stay ignorant, brother. Stay ignorant. Stay stuck. That's what you're gonna do. Stay ignorant and stuck. Exactly. That's why I started out this session tonight saying, if you can't see yourself, look through the eyes of another, because they've been trying to tell you, you just had so much self-doubt and self-loathing you couldn't believe it or hear it. Your hands emanate radiant warmth. Yeah. Not last night, Tuesday, when I was reading, I can't even remember who it was. It was somebody that's in here, that's in the soul tribe, that is a real, for real, real. They own their spiritual, and they ain't about, yeah. And my hands got so hot, I was literally having to do this because I was tapped into that brother's energy, and it was. I'm Reiki attuned. I just got, um, excuse me, I got attuned back in December of last year. Um, I honestly don't plan on getting into too much theosophy, Chuck, or anthroposophy. I look more along, and the reason I say that is because I was recently led to like Mauro Bellino and Paul Wallace and those dudes, and they are amazing. Paul Wallace was an archdeacon in the Anglican Church for 33 years. He was a teacher of teachers and priests. And once he got into the translations and really kind of understood what he was looking at, with the things that he's saying, he's written a whole. We're gonna go through that book. He got a series of books called the Eden, like the Eden Enigma and the Eden something else. He's got the Eden series of books where he's discussing this stuff too, and we will go through it. But when I was led to his information, it wasn't like he was telling me something I didn't know. He was confirming to me what Yeshua and Enki had already shown me. And that's the way it's been through my whole spiritual journey. I'll see something in meditation. I'll know that it's so. I don't know why it's so. I just see it in meditation. And then a few days later or whenever, the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, will lead me to some information that will give a further scientific, religious, medical, psychological, whatever it is, information about whatever the thing is I'm seeing in meditation, and then it will confirm what I've already been shown. That's the way the guides have been working with me for 4 or 5 years now. So unless they lead me down that rabbit hole, there's no need for me to keep tracking down religious rabbit holes when I can get to real spirituality. Once I understood that Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are basically the same religion, worshiping the same God, I don't have to keep wading through that mess. Bullshit is bullshit. And they worship a bullshit God. I don't need to keep digging in that mess. That's like saying you dropped your wedding ring in the dumpster. You went out to the county dump and you dug through. You fortunate enough to have found it in the first garbage can you dug in. Why do you have to dig through all the rest of the garbage cans in the dump when you found what you was looking for in the first garbage can you were led to? Of course the church folks are gonna tell you it's demonic. They've been hollering about false light the whole time. They too ignorant to know they are the false lights. They're the false light Yeshua talked about. The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Is not 3/4 of the world under the influence of the Abrahamic religions, which are worshiping Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah, same being? The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked ones. Do 242 TV, cleanse your energy and your aura. You might want to keep some hematite or tourmaline around you. Look into your protective crystals, and for whatever you do, get some orgone devices, and or I would start with some sea salt. Sage your home, cleanse it thoroughly, cleanse your energy, cleanse your home. And then once you have saged your space, burn sage, open the windows and let that energy out. Everywhere in your house that the walls form a corner, drop a little bit of salt in them corners. And if you have to, when you lay down to meditate, make a salt ring around your bed and get a Himalayan salt lamp for your room. But you shouldn't be getting no involuntary ticks every time you try to meditate and lizards and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm not super familiar with York's work, KWS. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. He was just down a different avenue, and I haven't gotten deeply off in this stuff. I didn't get deeply into Casey's work either. Again, I was led to so much information, you can't get into it all. I think he was kind of out there for some people, and we might get into his work one of these days. But once I got to this aspect of it, because of my deep religious indoctrination and my intense familiarity with the Bible, I think Sitchin's work was the perfect place for me to go, because I could see the correlations between what's in the Bible and the fact that the Anunnaki story doesn't contradict the Bible. It just gives larger context to let me know that this was not the full deal. This was more likely the truth. And that's why I say it's like spirit just led me to where I needed to go based on the information, the background information that I had, to keep me from having to spend 15 years chasing a whole bunch of stuff and understanding very little of it. I have a very specialized niche of information based on my background. No, I'm not atheist, my love. You ain't been listening if you think I'm atheist. I believe very much in the creator of all. Yes, I do believe that Yeshua is a reincarnation of Thoth. And the reason I believe that is because of the things that Yeshua was saying when he was here. He was quoting directly from the Emerald Tablets and the Lost Book of Enki. And at that time, the Lost Book of Enki, according to this instrument, had been buried and hidden in a cave for thousands of years before Yeshua ever walked the earth. But when Thoth went through his ascension, he asked if he could come back. If Hermes Trismegistus was the thrice born, they said he's the third incarnation of Thoth. Hermes Trismegistus came along 500 years after Yeshua. It only makes sense to me, with as many similarities as they have, that Yeshua would be the second born, especially when. Now, here's the part. We got to go back. Oh, okay, baby. Have a good evening, Antoine. Have a great evening. Skin by Lauren, are you able to moderate? Or do I have any others in here? Anyone else able to moderate for me? Antoine's having to leave. Oh, Tasha, you still here? Good. Okay. Yeah. Tasha, you were the one that gave me hot hands. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Here's the part that really, really makes me think that Yahweh, oh my God, that Yeshua is Team Enki and not Team Enlil, and that he may very well be the incarnation of Thoth. Oh, Lauren, yeah, I'm gonna make you a moderator too, so it don't all fall on Tasha. They've been pretty good, but you never know. So we're gonna, yeah, do this. Awesome. And it's good to see you, Mayhem. John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word. And interestingly enough, Thoth is known as the Word in certain places. He's also known as the Logos in certain places. He's also known as the Son of Man in certain places in the Emerald Tablets. Yeshua is known as the Word. Yeshua is known as the Logos. Yeshua is known as the Son of Man. Those correlations right there gave me the big up eyebrows, like, whoa. But then here we go. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with the Elohim. Thoth was on the original landing party that came here with the primary geneticist on the platform, his daddy, Enki. Thoth is Enki's son. So is he not El Shaddai, son of the Elohim? And he was here from the very beginning. Yeah, can we please get the likes up? Sorry. You said the word magic spells, God said. Maybe so, I don't know. Yeah, it says right here in John 1:1. I never understood that scripture from the Christian aspect, because that's where they try to get in where he was a God and all that, but then they try to make it be Trinity and all that stuff they try to tell you. But it's here in plain English. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Elohim. The Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with the Elohim. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. That was exactly the position that Thoth filled according to the Anunnaki text. He was right there as Enki's right hand. They created the house of life and started doing genetic experimentation even before they fashioned man. They were here mapping out the rivers, mapping out the heavens, creating the calendars, everything they did, all of the secondary creation of civilization and the creation of the cities and all that stuff was done by Enki as well as Thoth and Ninmah. It was not Enlil. Enlil was just sitting on his butt running the show. I'm not going to start discussing Hebrew terms. I don't need to discuss all of them. Elohim, El Shaddai, El Elyon is as far as we need to go. I don't have to go into Adonai right now. You said the next reincarnation is as a teen. Maybe, maybe. Now, we go a little bit further down. Let me see. When he talks about, he said, in him was life, and the life was the light of man. Thoth asked if he could go back after he received his immortality. He asked if he could go back amongst humanity to be a light among men. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on. I can't remember. I'm trying to find out. He talks a lot about light, but is a particular path when he went to the dweller in the Aguanti and he spoke to the master of death and received his immortality. Okay, I think it's in tablet 2. Bear with me 1 second, y'all, because the correlations are just, it's too much to ignore. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Go. Hold on. Thoth said, there before them was I led by the dweller, watched him blend with the one from above. Then from he came forth a voice saying, great art thou, Thoth, among the children of men, free henceforth of the halls of Amenti, master of life among children of men, taste not of death except as thou will it. Drink thou of life to eternity's end. Henceforth forever is life thine for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. Dwell here or leave here when thou desirest. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. And then from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me onward through the halls of the deep hidden land. Led me through the halls of Amenti, showing the mysteries that are not known to man. And he's just going down to the I'm not going to read this whole passage because he was led to the master of death. They showed him his light. The master of death keeps everybody's life light, so to speak. And they said that each light had a little ring of darkness by it. It was a veil that we could not escape past. Oh, okay. Whatever. I'm not going in there. Let's see. Okay, and then he said, then spoke a, hold on, let me get, I do want to read part of it. Then grew in the great space before me, flame after flame, because he was seeing like humanity's life force represented as little individual flames. In this vision he had, he said, flame after flame from the veil of the night, uncounted millions leaped they before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire. Some there were that faded swiftly, others that grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with light that could never be quenched. Coming and going like fireflies in springtime, fill they with space, with light and of life. Then spoke a voice mighty and solemn, saying, these are the lights that are souls among men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reached the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then I send my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come and yet remain not. For life eternal exists in the all, only an obstacle, I in the pathway, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of the night. In the darkness grew there one that drove forth the night, flaming, expanding ever brighter, until at last there was nothing but light. Now here's the part. Then spoke I, this is Thoth talking again. O great master, let me be a teacher of men, leading them onward and upward until they too are lights among men, freed from the veil of the night that surrounds them, flaming with light that all shall shine among men. Spoke to me then the voice, go as yet will, so it be decreed. Master are ye of your destiny, free to take or reject at will. Take yet the power, take yet the wisdom, shine as a light among the children of men. Yeshua was a light to the world. Thoth was a light to the world. That's what they came here to do and be. That's what they asked to do. He was connected to his father, the dweller that he talks about. Now, that conversation he was having with the keeper of the lights, that was the master of death. But the dweller in his Aguanti was Lord Enki in his spiritual position when he was not incarnate on earth. He had gone down into the stasis state when Thoth is doing all of the spiritual work and asking after he's ascended. He could have left and went on. He was free to travel the cosmos and travel the realms. He did a lot of that in the Emerald Tablets. He said he went and did his astral travels, and he went to this dimension and that dimension and all the rest. But he asked, after he attained his immortality through his spiritual ascension, he asked to come back and be a light to men and a teacher to men. And now that information is spilled back on the planet literally 50, 75 years after they said Yeshua was supposed to be coming back to earth. Yeshua pointed to the age of Aquarius. Now, again, I don't believe that those books were really written by Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but all three of the accounts of the Last Supper, there's a part in that passage where he says, go to the gate and the man with the pitcher of water will show you the way. That is pointing to the age of Aquarius. Lord Enki is the quintessential Aquarius. So it's very likely, with all of those correlations, it's highly likely that that Yeshua ben Nazariah, Isa ben Nazariah, Yeshua Hamashiach, whatever you choose to call him, very likely that that was the incarnation of Thoth, which is further reason why that douchebag Yahweh would want him unalive and then turn around and an ultimate thumb at his brother's nose that, look, you think you're going to save humanity with all y'all little goody wishing? Watch this. Not only am I going to unalive your boy, I'm going to turn around and knit him in the middle of a lie that's going to keep these fools stuck. I don't care what you do to them. I got this. That's exactly what they turned around and did. This is a pissing contest between two brothers who dared to play God, one of whom who loves humanity, the other one don't give a half a flying F about humanity. Yes, he is an ascended master. In religion, we're told all of that stuff about the virgin birth and the this and the that, and he the Messiah. Again, that's bullshit that they put their story around. He is an ascended master. Metatron, they call Archangel Metatron an archangel. It is said that Metatron is basically Enoch. When Enoch was taken up, He describes in the book of Enoch the realms that he saw and all that. And he became a scribe for Enki. He got the title of Archangel Metatron. Him and Sandalphon are the only two ones that are given the title of Archangel who used to be human. It said that Enoch is Sandalphon, and I think Elijah was Metatron. I mean, no, Enoch is Metatron. I think it was Elijah that was Sandalphon. He was taken up. He said he got took up. People saw him go up, and he actually, according to the information, he did come back to Earth. And I forgot who they called him then. But the thing is, if he was taken up and shown all the realms, and he was taken to Nibiru and all of the stuff he did, time is different out there. A year on Nibiru is called a shar, and it is 3,600 of our years. So if he went to Nibiru for a year, everybody he ever knew was dead and buried by the time he came back to Earth. That's why they saw him taken up, but they never saw him come back, because they died of old age before he got back. That's all. Am I who? I have no idea who that is, so I can't answer that. You speak to Metatron, yeah, through meditation, and he's very available too. The day I received my Reiki attunements, I had a beautiful gift in my third eye. I was able to see. I called it the Eye of Metatron because it was like an Eye of Horus, but it looked different than any other Eye of Horus I'd ever seen. It was of a blindingly white metal that was brighter than any platinum or rhodium or it looked like it was electric wet and everything else at the same time. It was such a bright metal, and it had the bluest blue I've ever seen in it for the eye in the center. And I saw that in my third eye after my Reiki attunements. And then I saw a regular golden eye of Horus, and then I saw a winged Isis. So yeah, he'll connect with you, different folks and different. Hey, Miss Bowie. Now let's get back to this. Oh, this other part that really makes me think. This part when we get down to John 3:16, for Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only son, which is not truly his only son, but you know, he gave his only son that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For Elohim did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that he might be saved, that the world might be saved through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe in him is condemned already because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. This is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people love the darkness rather than the light because their works were evil. He sent somebody right up in the middle of Yahweh's house to tell them, you're getting it wrong. You've been bamboozled. You've been lied to. And they hated him so much that they unalived him for it. And he said, I know they're going to unalive me for it, but don't worry. I'm going to come back, y'all. Might not come back physically, but I'm not going to leave you as orphans. I will leave signs before this whole shit show plays out. I am going to come back and look for me towards the age of Aquarius. Even the Christians thought that he was coming in 1844. They had the Millerite movement. They called it the Great Disappointment when he didn't physically show up. But the Seventh-day Adventists and the Millerites were kind of spin-offs of each other. They thought he was coming back physically, but something did happen on this planet around the 1844 mark. Light was beginning to spill onto the planet again. 1830 is when Joseph Smith had his vision and started the Mormon church. Now, I'm not telling you I agree with Joseph Smith's vision. That brother had some serious problems. He want a whole planet full of virgins. Are you out your rabbit behind mine? I don't want to be around 50 women. I damn sure don't want no whole planet full of them. But he teaches these people that they're going to get an entire planet full of virgins when they get through their earthly walk, and that black people are supposed to be a slave race. That's not really hearing light, but something was beginning to happen. But he was early on the take. But then around 1875, you had the Jehovah's Witnesses come out. You had the Seventh-day Adventists come out. Then Scientology busted on the scene early into the 19th century. The Unity movement came out. The science of mind movement came out. Christian Science came out, and there was about 50 or 60 other little tiny satellite religions that popped out. First of all, Frankenstein, I didn't see you in any earlier thing. You don't exclamation point yell at me for not for a free reading, especially, and you certainly haven't paid for one. I'm not reading tarot right now. You can come tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and if you're nice, I'll be happy to read some cards for you. Hey, Amanda. CC baby 333 is a divine number. It is kind of 33 is Christ's number. 40 is Enki's number. 50 is Yahweh's number. 33 is Yeshua's number. Let's go back over here. Let me see. But yeah, like I said, when I keep looking at those correlations back and forth between the Bible, the Lost Book of Enki, and the Emerald Tablets, to me, it looks very much like Yeshua may very well be the second incarnation, of Thoth. Now, let's go. We're going to get back over here into the attestation of Endupsar. He said, and was it fate or destiny? In the future shall it be judged, for at the end of days, a day of judgment there shall be. On that day, the earth shall quake, and the river shall change course, and there shall be darkness at noon, and a fire in the heavens in the night, and the day of the returning celestial God it will be. Revelation chapter 21, the returning celestial God. Coming down with New Jerusalem, shining like a jewel. It's in the book for all the good Christians in the house. And who will survive and who would perish, who will be rewarded and who will be punished, gods and men alike. On that day it shall be discovered, for what shall come to pass by what had passed shall be determined. He said, gods and men shall be punished. Yahweh shall be punished. And all of the watchers, angels, and the hordes of demons and everything else that pulled off this charade and showed their behinds and led mankind astray shall be punished. You're welcome. Quiet you kitten. Don't do drugs. I'm not on drugs and ain't did none at all. I like to meditate with cannabis from time to time, but I've had no kind of stimulant drugs or anything else in my system for well over 6 months. I haven't done the Book of Enoch yet, but we will. Like I said, I got so much reading ahead of me. It's not that I don't want to read the book. I just got sent down so many other spiritual rabbit holes. I just ain't had time to get there yet. I know cannabis is a drug, and I have not done any drugs. Like I said, thank you. You act like because somebody meditated with cannabis once upon a time, it's in their system forever. No, Yahweh and Yeshua are not the same energy body. Yahweh is the devil, that is Satan. Yeshua is of the same energy body as Enki, his brother. Yahweh and Enki are brothers, but very different brothers. Nothing, Sonar Patch. You can go. I don't have time. I'm gonna hide you. You can listen if you want, but what you can't do is keep putting your foolishness up in here. And exactly, there's nothing wrong with cannabis. It's a highly spiritual plant. It is grossly misused in this day and time, but it is very, very misused. But yeah. Miss Bowie, thank you. Thank you. Hi, Steve Stanley. Hi. Good to have you in here. We're gonna continue on because, like I said, the time he's talking about this time that's forthcoming that they're going to have to face the judgment for what they've done, good or bad, gods and men alike, because they do understand that he said, for what shall come to pass by what had passed shall be determined, and what was destined shall in a cycle be repeated, and what was fated and only by heart's will occurring for good or ill shall for judgment come. Then Endupsar says, the voice fell silent, and the great Lord spoke up again, saying, it is for this reason that I will tell the true account of the beginnings and of the prior times and of the olden times. For in the past the future lies hidden. For 40 days and for 40 nights shall I speak, and you will write. 40 shall be the count of the days and of the nights of your task here. For 40 is my sacred number among the gods. For 40 days and 40 nights you shall neither eat nor drink. Only this once of bread and water shall you partake, and it shall sustain you for the duration of your task. That's another reason I also believe Yeshua is Team Enki. He went into the wilderness and fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. That is an initiation, a spiritual initiation under Lord Enki. I take Ormus and colloidal gold and all of those good stuff from time to time for meditation. I use Blue Lotus. I use a lot of things to expand my mind. Yeah, I use Ormus. The original Ormus was, I think it was gold, silver. It was colloidal gold, colloidal silver, and something else mixed with it. But they literally, the Anunnaki did use it to help preserve their life, expand their wisdom, all the rest of that stuff. Now let's go back for the 40. He's okay, so he's not eating. He said, and the voice paused, and all at once there appeared a glowing in another part of the enclosure, and I saw a table, and upon it a plate and a cup. And I rose up there too, and there was bread on the plate and water in the cup. And the voice of the great Lord Enki spoke up again, saying, Endupsar, eat the bread and drink the water, and be sustained for 40 days and 40 nights. And I did as directed. And thereafter the voice directed me to sit myself at the scribal table, and the glowing there intensified. I could see neither door nor aperture where I was, yet the glowing was as strong as the midday sun. So obviously some kind of lighting source that Endupsar was unfamiliar with, but obviously they had brought from Nibiru with them. It sounds like some kind of recessed lighting or something, who knows? But he's describing it. I'm sorry, my lips done got dry because I done talked for so long. Bear with me. He done got, but he's describing this light source. Mm. And the voice said, Endupsar the scribe, what do you see? And I looked and I saw the glowing ryad upon the table and the stones and the stylus. And I said, I see stone tablets, and their hue is blue as pure as the sky. And I see a stylus as I have never seen before, its stem unlike any reed, and its tip shaped like an eagle's talon. And the voice said, These are the tablets upon which you shall write, you shall inscribe my words. By my wish they have been cut of the finest lapis lazuli, each with two smooth faces provided. And the stylus you see is a god's handiwork, its handle made of electrum, and its tip of divine crystal. It shall fit firmly in your hand, and what you shall engrave with it shall be as easy as marking upon wet clay. In 2 columns you shall inscribe the front face, in 2 columns you shall inscribe the back of each of the stone tablets. Do not deviate from my words and utterances. And there was a pausing, and I touched one of the stones, and the surface thereof felt like a smooth skin, soft to the touch. And I picked up the holy stylus, and it felt like a feather in my hand. If you've never felt the surface of a natural lapis, it is a very strange. I mean, obviously the stone is hard, but considering a polished lapis does have kind of a soft feel to it. It is an abduction experience. He said he was taken up into Enki's house. They were not allowed to see them as gods, so they had these high temples. Look at the temples over in like Chichen Itza and all of them, how all them high steps and the faces and all of that, they were temples, they were homes of the various Anunnaki. But what he said that they came and picked him up and took him up in the sky somewhere, so he was taken maybe to Nibiru, who knows. He wasn't allowed to see them, but he had to sit down and write this stuff. And then when he finished, well, hold on, let me see. And then the great god Enki began to speak, and I began to write down his words exactly as he had spoken them. At times his voice was strong, at times almost a whisper. At times there was joy or pride in his voice, at times pain or agony. As one tablet was inscribed on all its faces, I took another to continue. And when the final words were spoken, the great god paused, and I could hear a great sigh. And he said, Endupsar, my servant, for 40 days and 40 nights you have faithfully recorded my words. Your task here is completed. Now take hold of another tablet, And on it you shall write your own attestation, and at the end thereof, as a witness, mark it with your seal, and take the tablet and put it together with the other tablets in the divine chest. For at a designated time the chosen ones shall come hither, and they shall find the chest and the tablets, and they shall learn all that I have dictated to you, and that true account of the beginnings and of the prior times and the olden times and the great calamity shall henceforth be known as the words of the Lord Enki. And it shall be a book of witnessing of the past and a book of foretelling of the future. For the future in the past lies, and the first things shall also be the last things. Yeshua said that too. And there was a pause, and I took the tablets and I put them one by one in their correct order in the chest. And the chest was made of acacia wood, and it was inlaid with gold on the outside. And the voice of my Lord said, now close the chest cover and fasten its lock. And I did as directed. And there was another pause, and my Lord Enki said, and as for you, Endupsar, with a great God you have spoken, and though you have not seen me, in my presence you have been. Therefore you are blessed, and my spokesman to the people you shall be. You shall admonish them to be righteous, for in that lies a good life and good and long life. And you shall comfort them, for in 70 years the cities will be rebuilt, and the crops shall sprout again. There will be peace, but there will also be wars. New nations will become mighty, kingdoms shall rise and fall. The olden gods shall step aside, and new gods shall decree the fates. But at the end of days, the destiny shall prevail, and of that future it is foretold in my words about the past. Of all that, Endupsar, to the people you shall tell. And there was a pause and a silence, and I, Endupsar, bowed to the ground and said, but how will I know what to say? And the voice of the Lord Enki said, the signs will be in the heavens, and the words to utter shall come to you in dreams and in visions. And after you there will be other chosen prophets. And in the end there will be a new earth and a new heaven for the prophets, for the prophets there will be no more need. Oh, Revelation 21, anyone? The new heaven and the new earth? For the former heaven and the former earth have passed away. And he mentioned it again in this book that's thousands of years older than the Bible. And then there was silence, and the auras were extinguished, and the spirit left me. And when I regained my senses, I was in the fields outside Eridu. This is the seal of Endupsar, master scribe. That part. They locked a lot of stuff up in, well, the ark. Acacia was a holy wood. I mean, it was what was available, and it could be watertight and all the rest of that. Yeah, they picked him up to do what he had to do, and then they dropped his behind right back off in the field they picked him up out of. He had done what he was supposed to do. And Enki said that he was hiding that information away. He had hidden the weapons of terror, but somebody obviously knew. He should have gotten him off planet. I know he regrets that, but he needed to get. Yeah, he did say that when he came. He regained his senses. Good morning or good evening, Sylvia Emmanuel. Nice to see you. Good morning, though, in your part of the world, I would imagine. Because they're gonna take part of your time. When my daughter went aboard that, it took me 3 or 4 days for her to be able to tell me the part what she saw when she was taken aboard craft, Marvin. She had a complete time skip. She went down the street to play with one of her friends, and it was starting to get late. I saw her coming up the sidewalk. She was quiet and looking a little weird, and she sat on the couch and she was looking crazy. I wound up helping her upstairs to bed, and just because I chilled and let it come out of her as she needed to, she started telling me over the course of the next few days what had happened, and what she described to me was having been taken aboard craft. You're welcome, Sylvia. Well, time is not linear. They don't even have to bend it. They are masters of it. We're the ones that are stuck in 3D time. Time is only linear to us. Even Einstein figured that out. The space-time continuum, theory of relativity, all that stuff that'll make your head hurt. He was on to something. He saw it. He couldn't necessarily find the words that the common person can understand, but Thoth backs it up in the um, Emerald tablets. He talks about the time space. time, the space-time continuum is not linear. Yes, Sylvia, you can ask a question as long as it does not require me pulling cards. That won't happen till tomorrow. Bye, Shah Islam. You should know you do plenty of it, brother. It's moving fast. Like you said, it's moving differently now. Sometimes it moves slower, sometimes it moves faster, but it has sped up a lot. What's the question you want to ask me, Sylvia? Be nice. It is accelerating. It literally is. Abraham and Esther Hicks used to say that 17 seconds of focus on anything to start moving our energy towards it. And they said now it's down to like 16 and a half. I was at that moment, what I was just reading, Amanda, that was at the very beginning of the Lost Book of Enki. It wasn't either of them. That was Endupsar's attestation. Endupsar is the scribe who took dictation on the Lost Book of Enki. Yeah. I'm waiting on Sylvia Emmanuel asked to ask a question, and then Dewey, I'll do 242. I'll ask your question. I mean, I'll take your question. You can type it in now, and hopefully it won't scroll up too far. But if Sylvia Emmanuel will go on and put her question in here, I will take hers first, and then do 242 TV. Type your question, please, and I'll take yours. Hi, Farouk. Well, ain't neither one of y'all writing your questions. I said I'll take the question, and y'all ain't got shy on me. I can't. If you don't put it in here, I can't read it. Ask me a reasonable question. Exactly. If you don't know where babies come from, please go ask your parents. Because unless you was hatched, in case I don't know what to tell you. Was she describe? Hold on. Okay. The time period we're talking about for what? That the time period of the Lost Book of Enki happened in the beginning of the it because again the Lost Book of Enki goes into the history before they went to Nibiru, when they first got here to Earth, and all of that. So truthfully, the Lost Book of Enki covers about 445,000 years. um I don't have no money either. I'm a single mom too. What are you talking about? If you want to do a business, you don't need my support. That's not the question for you to answer here, honey. I'm in here giving spiritual information. Did I go in at any point in time did I tell you that this was a charity place? And I'm not trying to be funny, but why would you think that that was what I'm here for? Ain't nobody paying me to be here. I'm literally spending my own time to go give spiritual information. But you can figure out some kind of way to start your business. I don't know what. Take in laundry for other people, start a cleaning business, do cooking, meals, something that you can do relatively inexpensive until you can work your way up to the business that you want to do. And truthfully, you might find somebody that wants to sponsor you. You might be able to create a GoFundMe. You might be able to start your own channel and have people that want to donate to your cause. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can fund a project, but I don't have no money to give you either, baby. I'm trying to get mine figured out too. I don't mean no harm, but yeah. Pretty Princess Pedro, what? That's what she need is a business plan. I ain't done a plan per se because I know what I need to do. I just don't have the money right now to start for the initial inventory for a lot of the products that I make and stuff. I do Reiki infused candles and jewelry and skincare products and things like that. I need my LLC and blah, blah, blah. But when I got laid off from my job, some unwise spending on my part wound up. I've been looking for jobs and applying, but they're slower in coming. So I don't know what's going on with that in spirit, but I'm not complaining about it. I'm working on it. But as far as her, she need a business plan. But honestly, she sounds like she might be from a part of the world that doesn't use where a formal business plan might not be the same thing. It sounds like she might be needing to start a home based, like a cottage industry first. She's a single mother that has no money. She may have to do some form of cottage industry first, and then she can work her way up to the business plans and the LLCs and all the rest of that as well. And again, like you say, it take money to make money. And when I was making money, I didn't save like I was supposed to, and then I got laid off and are having a hard time getting things rolling on the other end. A lot of us are having some money issues. So I'm not disrespecting you or saying that, okay, 3,000 years, you on some nonsense. That's so disrespectful. So disrespectful. Pretty princess, I'm not sure what cases you want me to see for you, but you said do 242 TV, if strangers have been coming up telling you that you have a big purpose, you probably do. Again, I used to buck at it because I was so angry with religion that I thought that they were saying that my purpose had something to do with the church. That when I was telling you the stuff that I had happen to me, literally when I was working, I was in Williamsburg, and people on that in that tavern, they had all kinds of paranormal stuff happen there, but I had people coming up to me wanting to pray with me, telling me they could see Jesus on me. And this one day I was in my little dining room, a lady that was in a whole different section. I was not even waiting on that lady. She got up from her table, came into my room. I was starting to clean up my stuff. She stopped and held both my hands and said, "You have a calling over your life. You have a ministry." And I got offended. I'm like, "Ministry? You ain't gonna melt and pour me back in the church." I was like, was it Medea talking about not unless they get a bingo room and a smoking section? I ain't going to church. She said every ministry is not from the pulpit, but you have a ministry over your life, and until you accomplish it, you're never gonna find peace or your purpose. And she won't lie. She won't lie. So when people, anybody can give you a word. A child can bring you a word when spirit works to them. Believe them. If they're telling you you got a purpose on your life, you do. Do 242 TV, please come to tomorrow morning's tarot session, please, because I'd like to pull some cards on you right now. It's getting later in the evening. If I start pulling them cards, I ain't never going to get to go to bed, and my neck is starting to hurt, so I can't really pull cards tonight, but I will be in at 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. Remind me, and we're going to pull some stuff and look into your spiritual gifts, if you will, or some of the activations or assignments you might be able to look into. Same thing. Anybody that's here on the live tomorrow morning, I'll be in at 8 a.m. Eastern. I will probably do a list till about 9:30 or 10. If you can get in before then I'll shut the list down, and whoever's on that list, I'll sit on there and work it until we work our way through. That's what I had to do today, and that's what I'll do again tomorrow. So if you can get on early in the morning and get on that list, yeah. All right. Any other questions before we pack it up and pack it in? You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. You can come in the morning, Miss Bowie, only because I could put you on the list today, but if you don't actually show up for the reading tomorrow, it's not gonna matter anyway. If you get to that reading before 9:30 in the morning, regardless of how many people it is, if you make it there and request to be on the list, at 9:30 I'll shut the list down, and then I'll continue to work that list until everyone has that's willing or able to come back in and wait their turn, if they're willing to wait for the reading, because it do be a bit of, because I'm not giving you no cheap one card pull. I'm literally doing many readings that would normally cost you $20 to $30. And I'm doing them for free, or whatever donation you choose to give, but I'm not charging anyone for them per se. This is my gift to the collective for the rest of this week. I'm willing to do that. I do appreciate the likes and the subscriptions. If you want to donate, you can, and it's greatly appreciated, but I'm not requiring it at this time. You do have a calling. Look, I'm trying to tell you, I set an intention when I first started this channel to call in a soul tribe, a spirit gang. We got something to do. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't have all the details as to where the money is going to come and who's going to be my board of directors. I have an idea and I've done quite a bit of writing on it, but I can't tell you I have a business plan per se because I don't want the government in this business. This is something that's going to be very, very heart centered. I don't want grant money from it. We're going to do it as either some celebrity or some person, or I get a windfall to get it started or what have you, and it will be done through crowdfunding and or private patronage. It will not be a government grant because the government ain't finna tell us how we're going to do this. But what we're going to do will help hundreds, if not thousands of people, and hopefully it'll be putting something into place that will continue long after we've gone off this planet. Oh yeah, it's going to be here. Gang, gang, for sure. You just require to be obedient. Yeah. And that's what my impatience wants it to be now. I saw the windfall coming about 6 years ago. So I could sit there and go, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? It ain't getting here no faster just because I keep saying that. But I also had to realize a large part of the holdup on my money was me needing to learn lessons. At 5 years ago, when I first saw the money, I still had some very energetically dangerous people around me. I would never manifest that money as long as I had them people in my energy. Now I've cleared all of them out since about 2 years ago, but I had to see that first and then turn around and do the healing around that afterwards. I don't know when the money is coming, but I can't wait for that. They finally let me know you got to get out here raw and real, broke or otherwise. Right now, it don't take no money to speak. I can speak my truth for free. I can serve the collective for free, and the money it'll find its way. Exactly. This is a bridge. Exactly, Marvin. You get it. And that's what I'm saying. I have to do this part first, and the money will come later. 03, 04, don't look up those. Anytime you see any numbers where there's sequential numbers, if a number gets your attention, 457, 487, 488, 889, whatever the number is that catches your attention, look it up. Type it in Google, such and such angel number, 555 angel number, 889 angel number. And in that first page, it'll take you to 4 or 5 different sites where you can look at the meanings of them. Spirit is bringing you messages. "33 is one of my numbers too. Same, yeah, and you're right, Scan by Lauren. Look, if a weird animal, you catch an animal acting very, very strangely, or something you hadn't seen before. I was sitting out on the porch last summer. I saw a dragonfly species that I had never seen. Come to find out, it's very common to Georgia, but I've been in Georgia for like 4 or 5 years. I had never seen it. So I looked it up to look at the spiritual meaning of that. I was sitting out on there and had chipmunks running across my feet, had not dragonflies, hummingbirds hovering by my head, coppermouth, little baby coppermouth snakes, one at the front door, one at the back, that kind of stuff. You had a hawk. Oh yeah. I had the coolest thing happen to me one day, Lauren. This was a few years ago, that I had all kinds of stuff happen with the birds. I gotta post those pictures too. I had an incident where over 100 ibises came and visited me. 3 Nande parakeets came. I've had herons in the yard, very strange acting blue jays, a singular ibis. But this particular day, I was sitting on the porch in the rocking chair, and It looked like I think it was a wren. It wasn't a female cardinal. I believe it was a wren in the tree that was just kind of doing its thing. And all of a sudden, it perked up. It looked at me, and then it took off flying. And a hawk got in behind it, and then it swooped around and went down between the two posts, swooped down on the porch, and that hawk flew down so close to me that its wings literally brushed my knee. And then they did their little flight, but the hawk did not catch the bird. He came back later to let me know he hadn't been caught. Mine are opening up and expanding too. They really are, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that, especially with all the planetary ascensions and the stuff that's been happening. The Schumann frequency is going off the Richter. It was like 53 the other day. Normally it's been 8.3 for the last 75 years. Now it's been for the past 4 or 5 years. It's been spiking at like 19, 20 each day, but it literally hit 53 the other day. So, and all of these natural disasters, there's a lot of energy playing out on this planet. That birds are spiritual messengers. They really, really are. Archangel Bokapi might be sending you a message. You said the science of sacred geometry expounds. Sacred geometry, the sacred numbers, a lot of that is it's wonderful information. It's just so much till I can't really get into that. It ain't that I don't get into it. I'm not familiar with a lot of it because, like I say, I was just drawn into down a different rabbit hole of spirituality. This is a decorative bendy ghost. I'm not a practicing Hindu, but Lord Shiva is one of my guides. That is Enki's name in the Hindu pantheon, and so I choose to adorn and or protect and or expand my third eye, however you choose to see that, and I choose to do it by wearing a bendy. Yeah, it is sad when those folks go. Honestly, a lot of the people that are leaving the planet now are actually, I honestly believe some of them are leaving now to either assist in the unseen realms or to do a real quick turnaround as these little magical children is getting ready to come in. Awesome. Awesome, Lauren. Yeah, a lot of folks get upset and they don't understand and they want to talk all kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, I have asked several folks from India and some Hindus. They don't mind. In fact, they compliment me on it every time one of them catch me wearing one, or kaftan, or hijab, or any of that stuff. The only people that be worried about appropriation, honestly, I don't hope I don't offend nobody that's on here because I know it's some non-melanated sisters on here, but for real, the only ones that ever be worried about appropriation is white women. The people that they actually claim that they're claiming we appropriating don't care. Like seriously, you know, what do they say? Imitation is the finest form of flattery. We are at the golden age, yeah. We're right on the we're going through that transition into the age of Aquarius, but this is the golden age. Hold on. I wish I could make this dialogue stay, but I can't. I don't know how to do it. In studio, they claim you can save the chat for the live stream, but I can't find how to do it. No, Cedric, the Anunnaki, first off, in my opinion, from what I've read and come to understand, they didn't really go anywhere. They're not going to come back and destroy the human race. They're going to come back for the final skirmish, if you will, in the Anunnaki War. Is what's described in Revelation as the Battle of Armageddon. But humanity is not, the human race is not what's going to be destroyed. It's Enlil and his minions and the humans who chose to line up with him to perpetuate this deception on humanity. There will be some humans that will be destroyed, but trust me, they're evil and they deserve to be destroyed. They've literally, deliberately, and intentionally cast their lots in with the demon. And those will be destroyed, as will their leader. And then the more loving Elohim will come down here, reestablish a base camp, and rule in peace. Oh no, they ain't gonna keep me here too much longer. In my opinion, again, I have to say, in my opinion, I'm gonna just stay here about 15, 20 more minutes, Tasha, and then I'm out of here. I had promised I wasn't gonna stay on no longer than 9 p.m. regardless of what happened. I will have to go. That's one of the reasons I didn't start allowing the tarot thing, because I knew that would get crazy. I didn't hear about that, Mac. But in my opinion, 88 Pearls, I feel like the person that they refer to as the Apostle Paul is the Antichrist. Was he not anti-Christ? He stood against everything that Yeshua actually stood for. Read the actual parts of what he talks about in there. Even though they acknowledge that hanging a man from a tree is a curse on him and his line, Paul came back and said, "Oh, isn't it wonderful that Yeshua was willing to bear that for us?" He wasn't willing, y'all killed him. He did a whole lot of pretending and lying. That's why I say I used to try to be mealy mouthed and step around what they say. I really believe Paul was the Antichrist. And that's why I want to do both of them. Tarot is a gift that I got because I became clairaudient and I like to play with the cards. Like I said, they helped me in my development, so I understand why people enjoy tarot. So I'm not besmirching that, but at the end of the day, my gifts expand further than just tarot. This information, the meat and potatoes, is what we got to get to. The other stuff is for us figuring out when is our boo thing coming and is we gonna get a job or something, and all that's wonderful. But this is us getting down to the major arcana of the tarot, our actual spiritual walk and development. No, bad demon, you gonna have to show up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. That's the only time I'm pulling tarot. And you gonna have to, your birthday can be whatever it is. I can't do all of that tonight. Hey, Wonder, Egbuda, Egbuka. Anybody that's in here that wants tarot, I'm telling you, I will be live tomorrow morning from 8 to about noonish or so, or however long it take me to get through those. From 8 a.m. to about 9:30, I will be taking names on a list. You don't have to stay on the live the entire time. You can duck in and out if you need to. But after 9:30, if you do not get on that live before 9:30 tomorrow morning, I will not put you on the list. You'll have to work it out for Friday or Saturday or whatever. I can answer a question if you come in tomorrow. Again, if you come in at 9 before 9:30 and get on the list, then even if you have to duck out, I'll try my best to take care of it. If not, I will also do pretty much the same thing on Saturday and again on Sunday. I'm willing to do that before I go into actual paying services. And honestly, Maurice, you can do that too, because I'm not going to be busting people in the head. I know there are some tarot readers out there that charge like $150 an hour for major readings. And again, later on down the line, I don't know what I will do, but I'm just getting out here now. I do answer questions. Yeah, I'll answer a question. He says, Cedric, is Yeshua the reincarnation of Thoth, and did Thoth build the pyramids? Yes and yes, in my opinion. I honestly, and that's not, I'm not saying it cat lightly. From what you may have ducked out for a while, Cedric, but we discussed that in detail. And I went back between the Lost Book of Enki, the Bible, and the Emerald Tablets at the correlations there that would genuinely indicate that Thoth is, or Yeshua may have been the second incarnation of Thoth on this, after he stopped incarnating as Thoth and stopped ruling as Thoth, and before he appeared to the world as Hermes Trismegistus. I do believe the second incarnation of Thoth was Yeshua ben Nazariah. And absolutely Thoth built the pyramids. He tells us that in the Emerald Tablets. He absolutely tells us that builded he the Great Pyramid. That line is in there. He says it himself in that book. If you choose to believe it, see, people choose to not want to believe that the Emerald Tablets are real, but in my opinion, they're just as real as the Bible or anything else. And he absolutely says that he built the Great Pyramids. Okay. Oh, you want? She asked if she could ask a question. I didn't know. I'd have to pull cards on that, Shrishti, so I can answer like esoteric questions. I thought that's what you meant. So you can come back tomorrow morning. Right now it is 8:20 p.m. where I am, Tia Walk. That's why I said I will be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern time. Oh, that's true. Bad demon. Now that's common sense, but a lot of folks still they like the confirmation of the card, so I don't mind doing it. I just can't do it tonight. If I open that door, I will literally be sitting here till midnight. It happened to me 2 nights ago, and my body just can't keep doing that. People don't understand. It's a lot doing this. It's one of your name gematria values. Okay. Right now, I'm actually just winding down. I was taking if we had any other questions about the emerald tablets, thoughts, the scriptures, any of that kind of stuff. I was taking those questions. But truthfully, if it stays kind of quiet like this, you say you believe in the emerald tablets. You think the Bible is a remix? Yes, it is. It's actually, Cedric. It's a remix of more than just the tablets. When Okay, excuse me. Hold on a second. Let me get some water. We're going because I gotta. Mm, mm. Christianity. Oh, you're in the right place, bad demon. Just literally subscribe. Go to the Modern Mystic Loved Ones playlist, and you can start. I can't remember if that list needs to start from the top or the bottom, but you can start it from the top. It ain't gonna matter. Just go to that list and start listening to some of the talks that I've had on there, and it'll help you kind of get up to speed to where we are. I just ask that you open your mind and kind of consider these things. You may not actually agree with every single thing, but we're examining some of the stuff together as we go too. Thank you, Sajad. You said which would I suggest to do an in-depth study in? Honestly, we're doing it now. We are in the Emerald Tablets right now. You can go and start listening to those. There's a playlist here on the channel. The Lost Book of Enki is another good place. There's a playlist here on the channel. I have plenty of biblical discussions about John and Revelation and Job. That's in the uh, Emerald in the Modern Mystic Loved Ones playlist, and we're gonna continue on. Once I finish, we're on like Emerald tablet. I think we're on the 10th tablet now. There are 15 tablets in the book. When we finish that, we're gonna go right into Zechariah Sitchin's Earth Chronicles, where he really starts dissecting some of this stuff. And of course, I always have the Bible to go back and forth to look and compare those things or whatever as we're studying it. Hey, Frixel. Oh, the council. Yeah, the Council of Nicaea. That's where I was headed for. If it's a spiritual question, Corey, yes. If it's a tarot question, no. It'll have to wait till tomorrow. You want Master Guy? You say you want You want to be a moderator? If you gonna behave, because if not, I'll have to remove you. You say you're new. I'm willing to make you as a moderator, but if you turn out to be, trying to slide in under the radar and be doing some funky stuff, I can remove you. So yeah. Oh, thank you, child. I can't see without them. I'm glad they look good on me because even if they did not have to wear them, because ooh and ooh. You said, what did I think of the Book of Eli movie? I actually, my mentor keep telling me to watch that movie, and I ain't watched it yet because I have so much stuff that's backed up on. I loved American Gods, but I haven't seen the Book of Eli yet. But Cedric, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, and you so very welcome, my dear. We just walking each other home. I know good and full well that once I was given these things, I couldn't not share them. Because think about it. Now, here's the part that gets me. I was raised with that whole doomsday, we got to get it right or else. And most of people that follow one of these religions are, if you don't get it right, you're going to die and go to hell. You're going to die in Armageddon. Something bad going to happen if you don't get it right. Well, I know that's not quite the way it is. However, there's part of that book in the Lost Book of Enki where they said after the flood and after the great calamity where the evil wind was released and all that, but after the flood, they said that before two more shars had passed, that there would be another calamity coming. And I honestly think that that's part of what they're talking about at the end of Revelation when he's having to come and establish a new base camp. Remember, we just read in the Lost Book where he was talking about how the tides would be messed up and the fires and the flames and all that. There's something in the way Nibiru's orbit is. It's elliptical, but there's something in Nibiru's orbit that if they come too close to Earth or ever many orbits, their orbit literally causes a global catastrophe on our planet. It upsets our magnetic poles, it upsets our water girdle, or all of that stuff happens. And if you remember, yeah, they said next time it will be fire. It's not going to be flood anymore. But here's the thing. Remember the movie Knowing with Nicolas Cage? I think it came out in 2009. Telling you, these cats been showing us the truth in plain sight for so long, and we miss it. We look at it as entertainment. Oh, that's awesome, 88 Pearls. I'm glad this is helping you some. If you look at that movie, in that movie, they knew that a catastrophe was coming that was going to scorch the face of the earth. And aliens had determined that they were going to turn around and they were going to take a bunch of children and a few adults that would be able to go and help oversee the kids and teach them and help resettle and all of that. But they came in and they took up a whole contingency of young children that they took up into spaceships to be off of the surface of Earth because they knew when it was coming. They could not prevent it. They did not cause it, but they were wanting to preserve humanity. So they took a contingent of children and a small contingent of adults up off of this planet, along with the seed samples and the genetic samples for animals and all of that stuff, just like a space ark. And they took them up in the sky. And at the end of that movie, that flash came and burned everything up. But they said after Earth, after the fire went out, they would literally come back to Earth and reseed Earth, a new Earth. I am talking about the movie Knowing, because they be showing us stuff in plain sight and calling it entertainment. I'm telling you, I do believe that that movie is based on the information that they mentioned in the Lost Book of Enki, where they said that another catastrophe would be coming. And the end of Revelation in the Bible says that there will be a catastrophe coming. They call it the War of Armageddon and all of that. And part of that is when they slay Enlil's butt. They sick of him. He ain't no more in exile for him. They tried exiling him, and that didn't work. So they're just going to go right on ahead and get rid of him. But there will also be a reckoning or a physical part component of it, because it's time for Nibiru to roll back around the earth. We're 4,000 years into the shard. That means we're in the second shard now. There, it's going to be a reset. They've reset this planet several times. The movie is with Nicolas Cage. Knowing, absolutely. And I do believe that that's the only thing that has a sense of urgency for me, because one of the things that they mentioned in the Lost Book was that whole thing. You know how Enlil has always been so keen on males, um, like the Jewish males and Christians and all that are really big on circumcising their male children. One of the reasons for that is, according to them, in the breeding program, the Anunnaki do not naturally have a foreskin, and Enlil so despised humans that he wanted them to look like the Anunnaki, so he insisted that they be circumcised as well. However, by started continuing to do that, it became kind of impossible to tell who had more Anunnaki blood, who had less Anunnaki blood, that sort of thing. In this day and time, I do believe that the way we can be sorted, if you will, as to who might make it up into those ships when it gets ready to leave for this knowing type cataclysm that's coming, will be based on who's able to turn off their worship gene and put down this lie and accept this and this. I honestly believe that's going to be the difference of who gets saved and who doesn't. But they try to teach us the rapture. Somebody going to be taken up and some going to be left back. They keep telling us that. We just try to make it mean something that it don't. But if they were going to come and save a contingency of humanity, wouldn't it only make sense to make the one to save the ones whose consciousness has expanded enough that they no longer believe the juvenile lies that they've been given and are able to expand their mind and see the truth? Why would you want to take up people that are still willing to worship a misogynistic demon? You can't teach them kind of people nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing but keep the same hell and confusion going. It's been going for the last 2,500 years. It says the meek will inherit the earth. People that can understand and absorb Enkiite thinking and leave the Enlilite thinking alone. Okay, Alan, then you be gone. Bye-bye. Stay here and get fried with Enlil and all his demons right along with him. Have a good life. Yep. I know, right? I'm not arguing with these fools no more. They'll find out. Because here's the thing, I didn't just make all this stuff up. They act like this is their first time hearing it, so they think I just made it all up and I'm having a fever dream. Go follow the channel The Fifth Kind or Paul Wallace or Forbidden Knowledge TV or Myth Vision Podcast or Morgue Official. There's plenty of teachers online that know this stuff. The people that still arguing against it are still stuck in their infantile ignorance. I didn't just make this up. Bye, Glitchy Rhythm. You can go too. Thank you. It is a choice. We're in the age of information. They don't have no reason to not understand this stuff now. Just because somebody plunked their little booties on a church pew when they was children and they choose to continue believing that lie and get mad because everybody else don't want to believe it. Yes, Enlil is the God in the Bible. His first title when he got here was Satan of the Eden. He is a demon. He is a dragon. He is Yaldabaoth. In other pantheons, he's been known as Yao, Dionysus, Odin, Zeus. He's never been known as nothing nice in none of them. None of them. Enlil, Enki, on the other hand, has always been more compassionate. Poseidon, Olokun, Shiva. I'm not sure of all his other pantheonic names, but yeah, Enki has been a son of a bitch in every single pantheon he's ever walked in since the very beginning of time. Enlil, that Yahweh Jehovah thing is just the very latest name that he's been called. He's been in a whole lot of them, and he ain't never been nothing nice. But here's the thing: 200 or 300 years after a generation passes, and all the mamas and grandmamas that knew about the olden tales are gone, nobody remembers the story, so they can come back and remix it's just about anything they want to be. But when you start hearing this information and actually choose to believe it, it'll open your eyes and you can stop believing the crap they've been selling us for the last 500 years. You have Ashkenazi Jewish on your Cherokee side, yeah. What were Sumerian, Egyptian, Jewish women doing in America before the flood? Very good question. You also might want to check out some of the channels I was naming. Check out My Lunch Break. They talk a lot about that. There's a lot that we're not told. Why is it that we're told that this country started, was it 1490, was it 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, blah, 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 blah. 1776 is when the Declaration of Independence was done. We're told that the gold rush happened somewhere in the mid to late 1700s in America. Before then, it was supposed to be all wilderness, nothing but miles and miles of buffaloes and Indians as far as the eye could see. Why is it that all of half of them buildings in Los Angeles and San Francisco and places like that, if you look A lot of them buildings look like they got buildings up underneath them, tunnel systems on under all of these cities for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. They was let them tell it. The cowboys were still out there, and they was out there. How did they find time to build the railroads and travel out west and mine for gold and build the little shanty towns and build them elaborate cities with all the gargoyles and dragons and griffins and all of that shit on them? They're lying to us about our histories. With Witch Masters 88 Pearls, I've got a couple of Divine Masters decks. This one has like a lot of the gods and goddesses in it. The actual Ascended Master deck is I got one of those, and then yeah, I got a couple of them with the masters. But and even around the rest of the world, you look out in some of the Slavic countries in Russia and all of that, even in China and all of that, they got these huge palaces out in the middle of no damn where. Still ain't nobody living in them places to this day. Why would they need palaces out in the middle of nowhere? And they tell us they're administration buildings now. They're lying. And all that intricate artwork, and let them tell it. The same two brothers built damn near everything in Europe in the span of 4 or 5 years. They mess with the history that they give us. They mess with the names. They mess with the reasons for the buildings. They mess with our history. They are lying to us. So these people that get in here in their feelings and want to hang to that truth in the middle of all of the stuff that's being uncovered, that go back way back before they was able to start doctoring up the lies like this. Solomon might have had a flying machine in the Vedic tradition. They talk about the Vimanas, which were flying spacecraft. So it's very likely Solomon could have had one. Ezekiel described them, right? In the transfiguration of Jesus, it talks about the light coming down, and it was so blinding white. It looked like his clothes were so brighter than anything that they had ever seen. And then they saw Elijah and Moses, who was been on the earth a good 1,000 years before Yeshua ever thought about walking on this earth. And they still knew who he was. They saw the vision of Elijah and Moses showed up at the transfiguration, supposedly of Yeshua. And during that period, again, nobody could see their faces, but the voice came down and said, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Believe him." When he was baptized, the clouds and the dove and the voice from the heavens, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Believe him." Or "I'm well pleased," I think it said, when there, honestly, I don't know. People keep talking about that. Here's the thing, and I don't worry about it too much, and not trying to be disrespectful. 88 Pearls. The people is trying to figure out the holy DNA, and they're still stuck on the wanting to be better than somebody. Ain't none of us no better than the other. It doesn't matter really whether you have an Arcturian background or a Pleiadian background, whether I have a Veda Reticulacean background, or it doesn't matter. We are all of some kind of cosmic descent. Those people are still stuck on that netter stuff, trying to want the melanated people to be better than. And like I told them the other day, look at the difference is, and I get it, white folks came out here and did a whole lot of stuff that pissed off a lot of melanated peoples. The primary thing that they did, and again, when it really doesn't matter. It doesn't. Because here's what I got to say on the issue of race. It's a psyop. The Caucasian race, a few people, again, mind you, a very few people, if you're white on this live stream, do not get upset, because I don't buy into that racist nonsense. But a few people amongst the Caucasian people that managed to get a group ahead, it's not even about being a better than. It was about the underdog finding a psychological way to get ahead. And one of the ways that they did it was to change the meaning of words. They've convinced the entire world that the word minority has something to do with skin color, when it does not. The word minority simply means lesser than in number. But psychologically, they got all melanated peoples on this planet coming into highly non-melanated countries, believing that they are minorities, when at the actual end of the day, if you looked at melanated people versus lesser melanated people, 90% of the planet are melanated people, whether they are Latino descent, Mayan descent, African descent, Indian descent, Chinese descent, on and on and on. They are melanated people. What you're looking at when you look at Caucasian races is a race of people that stayed in their own gene pool so long that they bred out most of their dominant traits, and now their recessive traits began to express. Black people can have silky hair too. It is a recessive trait, but you see it most often in white people. Guess what? White people can have nappy hair too. I've met some of them. Blue eyes. Black people can have blue eyes too, but it's a recessive trait. You see more of a predominance in it in the group of people that bred themselves into recessive dominance. That's all. Sonny Mac, your fried bologna sandwich is about to be up out of this room. You don't come in this house with that. I'm saying melanated because all of us are melanated people. And that's what I'm saying. We get these groups that want us to be better than or less than based on skin color. My message is we all the same. Who knows what color all them cats was when they pulled up on here from Nibiru? Shiva is looked at as blue, so dark blue he looked black sometimes or whatever, like dark black. I ain't talking about this black, I'm talking about this black. They had all kind of colors: brown, black, green. Some of them show up as white, some of them show up looking like part animals. Thoth is always depicted with an ibis head and the body of a man, and what hand like claws that look almost like bird feet or whatever. Bye, Martin. You repent in Jesus' name. Bye bye. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That skin color mess, that is a mental prison for people. It has absolutely nothing to do with this that I'm talking about here. So I really hesitate. Hey, Antoine, good to have you back for a minute, baby. Exactly. And all, because here's the thing, we say Atlanteans or people from Nibiru. The people from Nibiru were a hybrid culture, much like the US is a hybrid culture today. They started out as two basic factions from the galactic wars. They were refugees. Their home planet was destroyed, and they came to Nibiru to settle there because they found an uninhabited planet and decided to take up on Nibiru. And then they started allowing other refugees from the galactic wars to come in and settle on their planet. And ultimately, when they decided to create a nation for themselves and become a unified people, they blended their cultures intentionally, created laws for themselves, and even though they were from Nibiru, they named themselves the Atlanteans. That's how they came to be, but it doesn't mean that they were a specific race. That's why we have so many mixed cultures here on this planet. None are any better than the other. We would all be dragging our knuckles and eating and climbing trees if they had not come here and gave us their more advanced DNA. Only more advanced because their civilization is literally 1,000,000 years older than us. That's how they had the wherewithal, the mental and technological capacity to hybridize us into an intelligent species from the primates that they found here. They literally shot evolution ahead by 500,000 years by choosing to hybridize us instead of leaving us climbing trees somewhere, all of us. Yes, I really believe that. And if you don't, you're welcome to keep scrolling. Exactly. To me, it ain't. I think that ancestry.com stuff was only to keep us in gene pools because they're literally planning on that whole scanning people and social so what is it, social IQ and social currency, and there's a lot of things that the powers that were are planning to put on in place, that I really believe the whole ancestry, the 23andMe and all of that was just a means to get people to volunteer their DNA to databases. Bang from Troy is called Life. Mystery schools used to be in caves and in special brick and mortar places. Holy Spirit came through here about 150 years ago. Now the mystery schools, you're invited into them in your meditation journey as you tap into your guides, and they lead you to the information and the teachers and the things that you need to have. You put your nose to the grindstone, you meditate and pray every day. You spend hours in salt baths, you follow the information, you follow down the rabbit hole until you get info. That's the school you get your information from. The school of divine wisdom that is poured out to you when you ask for it, and then you obey where spirit tells you to go. I don't have no specific why do I have to go and get information from another person? This is what leads us lost. You'll only believe something that somebody in a building somewhere tell you because they told you that's what it is. Really? You're going to stay lost if you keep following people like that. Because I was, when I was had to get it from a church, I stayed lost, and you will too. No, meditation didn't tell me about planets and aliens. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the Lost Book of Enki told me about planets and aliens. This book was translated when they in 1928. This book finished being translated, I think, in 2016 or 2006. I'm not sure. But Zechariah Sitchin spent his whole life translating the Anunnaki text. When they told us about finding the Dead Sea Scrolls, most people don't know nothing more about nothing than the Dead Sea Scrolls. But when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found a whole lot more than that. And then they found the Nag Hammadi Library, and then they found the library at Nineveh. And let's not talk about all of the stuff that the Vatican got hid up under there. But the archaeologists that's been digging for over 200 years on this planet have uncovered hundreds of thousands of ancient texts, and those people start translating them. And now that we have this little thing called the internet, if you're so inclined, you can get a hold of those translations and read them. The church is not going to approve this because the church, this information uncovers the lies of the church. But if you only want to listen to what the church is going to tell you, you'll stay in ignorance. If you understand that when they found that other stuff, they remixed this into what they wanted it to be, but there's a whole lot of other information out there, you'll start putting the whole story together and get up out of this brainwashing. No, Bang from Troy, it don't have to be true because it's in this book either. That's the point. That's the point. You sound ignorant as hell because you're going to argue with what I'm reading from 2 or 3 books that's agreeing with the same thing. 2 or 3 books written by several different people all over the span of thousands of years, all confirming each other. And because I choose to believe that after checking several sources, you're going to tell me I'm wrong because the pastor down the block that had a feeling in his heart and decided to go and make a congregation came up with something different. Get up off of here with your ignorance. You deserve to stay in ignorance. You really do. Goodbye, Bang from Troy. Been nice. You said what? Yeah, the Dead Sea was going down, and they were so busy talking about. Right, Marvin, you right. You can't. That's the part that get me. They are so busy clinging to their ignorance. They want proof. You can't prove the Bible. You can't prove Christianity. You can't prove Islam. You can't prove Judaism. All you can prove is the point in time where they decided to pick up weapons and force people into that religion. But the actual sources of it, you can't prove none of it. And if you decide to believe how those were sourced, these are just as valid as this because they all came from the same thing. These came from older. This actually came from this. That's the part he don't understand. The first council of Nicaea in 325 AD, Emperor Constantine, who was not a follower of Yeshua, did not believe in none of what Yeshua was doing. He wanted to create a unified religion because they had a whole bunch of little satellite religions. People were still in their various theistic stuff. He wanted to more easily rule his kingdom by creating a unified religion. So he called the first Council of Nicaea. It lasted almost 2 years, and he brought in folks from all over to literally put their input in as to what they wanted to include in this religion. And they took all kinds of information from various different texts from all over the globe, the information that they had at that time, and they created that book. And the text that they had available to them at that time, they abbreviated from and truncated from and remixed from and put this all together. And even this book they can't agree on, it used to be twice as big as it is now. It started out with about 128 to 132 books, and eventually they cut it down to 66. But this book was not the words of Yeshua. This was the beginning part, because the first 5 books of the Bible are part of the Jewish Talmud as well. And they turned around and took the story from the beginning part of where they started telling the Adam story, and then the lineage of the kings and all the rest of that, the Jewish part. And then they came in the middle and started talking about all the exploits of Yahweh, how wonderful he supposedly was when he came out as the God of the Israelites and all of that, Abraham, Moses, blah, blah, blah. And then you get over here past the Psalms where David was just singing on and on for 120 damn chapters about how marvelous the Elohim were. That was a hymnal, basically. They were literally songs that were sung in the temple. That is what the Psalms are. And then the words of wisdom through Proverbs. And then you get into the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all of that. Again, there's no proof that Matthew, Mark, or Luke ever actually met Yeshua, but this is what we're told. John most likely did, and we get that story of that. But in that gospel, that is where he's saying telling the Jews that they are worshiping the wrong Elohim. They put him to death, and then after that, Paul came on the scene 100 years after Yeshua was unalive and started telling all of his followers that they was following the wrong thing, and they gonna roll out with this new Christian religion, and he the helm of it because Yeshua appointed him an apostle, but he never laid eyes on Yeshua either. And then Constantine made up the Nicene Creed so they could get their story straight. After they put it all together, they literally, the only thing that in Christianity that has anything at all to do with Yeshua is the Gospel of John. The rest of this is the story of Yahweh. That's what people don't understand. It's not what you think. And Yahweh was the one that wanted Yeshua dead because he was telling these people that they were following the wrong Elohim. And he allowed for Yeshua to be unalived. It wasn't his kid. That was Yahweh's boy, and a human no less. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Y'all want him gone? Good. And now, after we're gone, how ironic is it that not only are we going to unalive him, we're going to put him right in the middle of this blasphemy as a mascot to promote your Yahwehism to the rest of the world. Now the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. And the people that try to come and tell you anything different, these people that want to cling to this mess want to swear that we in ignorance and don't know what we're talking about. They don't even know what they're reading when they read this. But when you turn around and read this, if you genuinely read this, and that's the thing, they'll argue, where's my proof? But they will literally jump off a building before they'll actually sit down and read this. And if they do read it, they will not read it with an open mind or heart. I opened my mind and heart because I wanted to know the truth. So I had to soften my attitude and go back into this to look and compare notes to see how it all meshes up. And like I said, I found out this don't contradict this. This gives this enough context that it finally makes some damn sense. And I understood what I've been told it means, and what I'm looking at, it don't mean. Hey, Capital Jewel. Hey, I'm the beef. Oh yeah, the entire map and the globe is a lie. If you actually understood, People have no idea. They look at the map and the globe and they think it's proportionate. The rest of the continents are so small that you could literally put all the rest of the continents inside the African continent. It's deliberately shown off scale, and people just never catch on. Of course, it's a lie. And part of the reason for that is they want to keep Africa subjugated, because they literally been stripping Africa for resources ever since they did the first round of colonization, and then the backdoor economic recolonization after the first round of colonization ended. All the rest of that stuff, Africa don't need the rest of the world for nothing. If Africa could if African countries could stop fighting amongst themselves and unify, Africa would be the world power tomorrow. They don't need nothing that the rest of the world has, but the rest of the world needs what Africa has. You can donate if you like, but honestly, thank you, Capital GD. I'm getting ready to get off of here in 5 minutes. You can ask a question for free as long as it's not a tarot question. If you have a tarot question, I will be back on at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern time. And you can always donate at the link, at the Buy Me a Coffee link, if you choose to. It is on the channel here. Or you can get I'm not answering your ignorance. Yet I would like to hope that you will be quiet and listen. If you keep with the mess, Jesus is Lord, you'll be out of here, because you don't know. I just spoke to this ignorance. I'm not going to repeat myself. Good night, Vicky Fernandez. Oh, the books I mentioned were the Emerald Tab. Well, this is the compendium. Let me show you what the other one actually looks like. Hold on. Yeah. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. This is translated by M. Dorial. And like I said, I do have a playlist to the reading and discussion of this book on my channel. If you want to look for it there, you can purchase it. But it is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. What I've been going through right now on the channel is the compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. It contains the translation of the tablets, but he also goes further into some other information is included with it. And then this is the Lost Book of Enki by Zachariah Sitchin. Right here, Brittany, you're in the right place. Thank you, Yee. I appreciate the subscription. Yeah, 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow is when I'll be in for tarot questions. Yee, if you have a question that you want to ask that's not tarot, you can just type it in here and I'll see what I can do. Bye, Walker Slim. You're the only one to be talking about Jabba the Hutt, fool. You are the only one. Every time you get back on here, I'm going to just make you invisible forever. Then I don't have to worry about it. How about that? There we go. Oh, yeah. All of the natural disasters and stuff are on the rise, and it's going to continue. It's going to get worse. It was happening on Nibiru before they had issues. It was happening before the flood. And it tells you in the Bible that before the flood, they was having issues, health problems, skin diseases, and all of that stuff. And it's going to be happening again. You're welcome, Vicky Fernandez. Is there anybody else that has a question related to the biblical issues or what we've been talking about tonight? Tarot issues will have to be talked about tomorrow at 8 a.m. Other than that, hey, Susan Saavedra. Jesus is the way. You're out of here too. Stuck in your ignorance, but all right. Yep. You said if you get some positive news. No, that's a tarot question. That's a tarot question. And honestly, I don't know, honey. You actually talked to firms today. This is not this is not like asking a genie. I can't make that stuff happen for you. You've already had the interviews and talked to them. Either you'll get it or you won't. It's tough for everybody. There's really no way of knowing for sure whether you're going to get them. How about concentrating instead of worrying about not getting it? How about envisioning yourself getting them? I don't know enough about George Chinaski's theory or anything else. And you said that stuff that was happening in 2015 will suffer from catastrophes in 2022. We already in 2025. Why in the world are you? What? Anyway, all right. Let me see. But Brittany, I will say this about the ocean levels. The powers that were have us convinced that the global warming and the ocean levels and all the rest of that is our fault. It is not. It is part of the Earth's cycle of changing its water. It's like changing the water in an aquarium. And the geologists know this. Ever so often, it's a slower process, but the icebergs melt and the water levels will rise, and eventually the water levels start falling. It's literally changing the waters out in the oceans. The iceberg, it's happened several times. It's how Gaia circles its water. It's really nothing for us to get caught up about, worrying about. We need to worry about our own spiritual enlightenment. Gaia know how to do what she do. We don't have enough juice to truly ruin this planet. We can just ruin lives for each other. But Gaia is an archangel. She know how to do what she do. Okay. It's 9:01. As much as I love you guys, I got to get up off of here. But again, like I said, please feel free to join me tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Okay. And I'll do it, it'll come back. Energy is never transferred. It will come back. It don't have no choice but to come back. Just because it don't come back immediately when we can see it, Sage, doesn't mean it's not coming back. You don't think that there's enough water left in the ice caps, the polar caps, and the icebergs on this planet to restock the oceans? I promise you there is. I promise you. Good night, everyone. Good night. I love you. Peace and blessings to you. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.